There are races and then there are events. And for more than 40 years now, the Grand Prix of Long Beach has become known as America's Street Race. It's a week-long celebration of racing and car culture here in Southern California. And close to 250,000 fans take it in from various vantage points, not only along Shoreline Drive, but also from the neighboring balconies and rooftops that stand over the Pacific Ocean. What a beautiful view they have. There are 7 Long Beach champions in today's race, and each will tell you this is among their most prized victories. Just like Elio. Among them, Juan Pablo Montoya, who won here 17 years ago, and Scott Dixon, winning his first Long Beach title last year. And then there are those like the current points leader, Simon Pagenaud, and 19-year veteran Tony Kanaan, who would like to add Long Beach to their list of triumphs. Welcome to IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon, where we set the stage for today's Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Hello everyone, I'm Rick Allen, thrilled to be above the front stretch along Shoreline Boulevard for one of the legendary races on any motorsports calendar. Yes, a lot of minds are on the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500 just over a month from now. But ask any of the 21 drivers racing today, or any of the dozens of racers here to celebrate their sport this weekend, and they will tell you Long Beach is a major, a grand slam, one that's not only nice to win, but important to win. Long Beach is not Monaco, but just like Monaco, Spa, Monza, or Indianapolis, when you mention Long Beach, it certainly holds its own place in racing history. And for one weekend, every April, it's a perfect mix of sun, speed, and stars, unlike anywhere else in the world. It's a busy starting grid, Marty Snyder, and already it's been an eventful Long Beach weekend.
Well, Rick, it's a beautiful day here in Long Beach. The atmosphere is incredible, and as you mentioned, it's been an eventful weekend. Qualifying yesterday was eventful, to say nothing less. Here's what happened. Now, this is at the end of qualifying session 2. You can see where the finish line is. You see the checkered flag coming out there, but then all the teams lost timing and scoring. The teams didn't know what the drivers were doing on the track time-wise. The drivers didn't know. So they moved the beacon to the end of the backstretch, and that created a little bit of an issue at the end of the backstretch. You see Will Power going in trying to get all he can. He got a little too much. Will Power's fastest 2 laps were declined, so he will start 6th today. But his teammate, Elio Castroneves, the fastest man here in Long Beach, the second straight week and second straight race, he winds up winning the pole. Elio Castroneves on the pole here at Long Beach. So let's talk to these teammates, and we'll start with Will Power. So starting 6th today, how hard does that make the job, Will? And being where you are in points, does that allow you to maybe be a little more aggressive this afternoon?
If it's a race like last year, yeah, it's difficult from there, for sure. But as we've seen in the past, I mean, if there's a lot of yellows and all that, I mean, it can get so mixed up. But, you know, we'll do our best, and you know, maybe we'll take a risk on strategy because of where we are in points and see where we end up.
Elio, we saw you with the pole yesterday, but when you got out of the car and warm up this morning, you said to me, wow, is it maybe even better in race trim than it was in qualifying trim?
Yeah, it felt pretty good, to be honest. But again, you got to consider different weather. Obviously, it was a little chill. Now there is the wind increase. So I take the moment. For sure, the moment was really good, and I feel that we have a very, very good car. Triple A cars being on hit rails. Again, I feel not only myself, but Will, Simon, and Juan Pablo looking very strong. So we just got to keep in front. Hopefully it'll be a boring race, no yellows, and then we can just stay out there and celebrate.
All right, I got to ask both of you, 4 Penske cars in the top 6, so is everybody playing nice on the first couple laps? Because passing is going to be important today.
You're the one at the front, so he doesn't have to deal with it.
Super nice, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's definitely not going to block on the first lap.
Oh, not.
Oh no, yeah.
Not at all, not at all. Team Penske has 5 wins here at Long Beach. These two would love to add to that and make it 6. Kevin Lee?
Marty, the crowd behind me is massive. It's been great all weekend. The weather always perfect. Last year, much the same. It never rains on race day. Like this year, Elio was on the pole last year, but we had a legend get to victory lane for the first time in this event.
Outside of the Indianapolis 500, many of the drivers will tell you that this is the race they want to win the most.
Scott Dixon has won 35 IndyCar races, but not this one.
Can Castroneves come out in front of Scott Dixon? It's going to be close in one. Dixon in the red, Castroneves no. That could be the move that wins Scott Dixon the Long Beach Grand Prix. Dixon wins at Long Beach for the first time.
I still can't believe we won here at Long Beach. Just fantastic. I can't believe we've done it.
Scott had not clearly gone well for you here at Long Beach over the years. So how much was that weighing on you? You'd never been able to get victory lane at this historic event.
It's always been a tough place. I think we've had good speed here with Team Target, and you know, fundamentally it's been a fantastic track for our team with Dario, Zanardi, Jimmy, you know, even Montoya. So for myself, I feel like we'd been in good running positions, but we got taken out of, you know, under yellow one year. We've run out of fuel a few times, so it's been a mixed bag. But last year, you know, it was just fantastic to finally make it to Winner's Circle and in the Target number 9.
So here this year, you weren't very quick in the first 3 practice sessions. Then you find something in qualifying, all of a sudden you're on the front row. What'd you find?
Yeah, I think we were trying a few different setup options. We learned some stuff at St. Pete, which I thought played out quite well, and obviously it didn't here. And to be honest, in qualifying, man, we just tried some good old-fashioned front wing. And, you know, it really pulled the front, and actually the whole car together just worked a lot better. So really excited starting on the front row. It's definitely going to be interesting. There's some pretty big mixes of downforce levels, and you know, I think there's going to be some people that are pretty trim, so it's going to be pretty exciting first few laps.
All right, Scott Dixon also won last time this season at Phoenix, and he won here last year. Over to Katie Hargett now.
And his teammate Tony Kanaan has won all the biggest races, the 24 Hours of Daytona, the Indianapolis 500. But Tony, the one missing on your resume is Long Beach. How would a win here rank amongst the others?
Wow, it would be a big win. You know, I always looking forward to winning a track that I haven't won. So we have a good car today. I think me and Scott, we worked really well together this weekend, and you know, we have something for today. So it will be a hard race. Obviously, here is always about sometimes the strategies, how many yellows, and you know, usually if you get an early yellow, you're going to see the guys in the back pitting earlier. So strategy is going to play off today, but we have a good car.
And last week in Phoenix, the theme was experience. You have the most experience here at Long Beach. This is your 13th start. How will that play a role today?
Are you calling me old?
Maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Iron Man.
It's my 253rd consecutive starts, and I've been coming here for 20 years, so I know the track pretty well, let me put it this way.
And he starts 4th today, Rick.
Thanks, Katie. And as you mentioned, it's hard to believe that Tony Kanaan is an Indy 500 winner, IndyCar season champion, and 24 Hours of Daytona winner, but looking to win Long Beach in his 13th start here, as well as Graham Rahal and Marco Andretti, both of whom grew up watching their families race on these storied streets. There is Simon Pagenaud, one of 4 Penske drivers in today's race, and the only one trying to add his name to the list of Long Beach winners as well. We'll talk to Simon Pagenaud next. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. Go inside IndyCar all season. Download IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. And welcome back to the gorgeous Long Beach, California. No venue more beautiful than this setting right here in downtown Long Beach. Each day during Grand Prix week starts at dawn and goes well past dusk. No shortage of activity on and off the track. And this year, the week kicked off earlier with a special event at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles, featuring the 5 racers with the most career IndyCar wins.
You know, I feel very privileged and very lucky to race cars for one, but to be with, you know, this group, it is very special and something I need to learn to embrace, and hopefully we can go on to achieve a little more.
The depth of talent is as good as it's ever been. I think the depth of team talent as well is as good as it's ever been.
No such thing as the champions of yesterday were more courageous, more this and that. No, there's no such a thing as that. I think the quality required is the same.
Somebody says to you, I understand you're a race car driver. Yeah. Did you ever run in Indianapolis? Yeah. Did you ever win? Yeah. So how many times? I says 4. No way.
Al, if you behave yourself, I'll give you a ride in a 2-seater.
You know, he asked me if I'd do that, and I told him, you know, I've made it this long, and I want to continue living.
And A.J. Foyt was unable to attend that event because he was getting over the flu, but is here for the race today. Between AJ's first win in 1960 and Scott Dixon's win this season, that's a span of legacy that covers 66 years. And if the Iceman continues to drive like he did in Phoenix 2 weeks ago, his rank on that list will continue to climb. After an 11-year absence, IndyCar racing returns to Arizona.
Drivers, start your engines!
Green flags in the air, we're underway. The St. Pete winner looks racy. Here comes Montoya after Elio.
The lead change takes place when Elio Castroneves' right front tire goes down. How aggressive does Montoya get? He wants to win this championship. Lost it a year ago, wins the first race at St. Pete, now in a position to where he could potentially win the second.
Ooh, well, they're going to flat tire.
Montoya slowing on the track. He's going to come in.
Flat tire. Exact same looking failure.
This is unbelievable.
Scott Dixon now finds himself P1.
They call this guy the Iceman. Always puts in solid performances and never puts himself in a bad spot.
39th career win for Scott Dixon, his first at Phoenix.
Chip Ganassi Racing has never won here until tonight. It's awesome.
And with the win in Phoenix, Dixon tied Al Unser Sr. for 4th all-time in wins and could hone in on Michael Andretti's win total by season's end. And with his back-to-back second-place finishes this year, Simon Pagenaud leads the point standings with the defending series champion right behind him. Ryan Hunter-Reay is the top Honda in 4th place, while 2014 champion Will Power sits in 12th, having missed the opening race in St. Pete. Here's Marty with points leader.
Well, Rick, you see Simon Pagenaud's championship standings and obviously being the leader. I know we're just 3 races in, Simon, but that afforded you maybe a little bit of the ability to be conservative today on a racetrack where it's very tough to pass.
Yeah, it is tough to pass, but it's a long straight line here on in Long Beach, so it's a lot easier to pass than St. Petersburg. You can play the game of downforce versus drag. It's going to be interesting. I think you'll see a lot of different cars doing different things, so we might have a really good show because of that, and it's quite exciting. We'll see.
You've been in many different series in your career, and I'm wondering, this atmosphere at Long Beach, you and I were just talking about it, it's really incredible. Do you get the sense this is one of the biggest races of the year?
Yes, and more importantly, this year's been incredible. You know, Friday was unbelievable, super packed, and the crowd's already here, so it's great. You know, when you can, first of all, it's a great racetrack, beautiful area in California, so when you can have the crowds like this, it's even more challenging, you know, because you want to push yourself and do well.
Truly is an unbelievable atmosphere. Our championship leader starts 3rd today. Kevin.
The Long Beach is a very special place for Ryan Hunter-Reay. He not only met his wife here, but got the win that secured his place with his dream job, Andretti Autosport. What's it like? What's it feel like when you get to a race, an event like this with so much atmosphere?
Long Beach is unreal. I mean, it's really tough to top it. It has the history, it has the atmosphere, it has everything about it. I love this racetrack. We've been struggling a little bit for grip this weekend. You know, our worst qualifying spot to this point has been 4th, but 11th, we can start from there. We can certainly make moves. I think we showed that last week at Phoenix.
Yeah, certainly a very different perspective for you starting mid-pack. So you were going to take a little bit of a swing at it this morning. Do you think you have something you can race with today?
I think the car was a bit better this morning. We found some things we were lacking, but you know, it's tough to make these moves on a street circuit. So we're going to have to be aggressive and really capitalize on pit strategy, things like that. It's hot today. The fans have turned out. Greatest fans in the world right here at Long Beach. So we're looking forward to it. It's a situation where you can really jump on some situations that like yellow's coming out at the right time. So we'll be on our toes. We'll be ready to go, and you know I'll be charging hard.
He's a winner here. He's a winner at the Indianapolis 500. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Rick.
And thank you, Kevin. And that's why Ryan Hunter-Reay is definitely one of the fan favorites. Ryan Hunter-Reay was fun to watch on starts and restarts in Phoenix, and today Ryan is the featured camera on IndyCar Mobile. Download IndyCar Mobile to access exclusive live in-car cameras, hear driver and pit crew chatter, and more only on Verizon. When we return, why this race means so much to AJ Foyt driver Takuma Sato, and a look at one of the most popular events of this Grand Prix weekend. That's next.
It's one of our favorite stops on the Verizon IndyCar Series season, the 42nd Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, and this is an event that every driver wants to win. To do so, teams need to come up with the correct tire strategy. And Firestone, as always on road and street courses, brings two different compounds. The primary black tire and the alternate red sidewall, softer, a little bit quicker, doesn't last quite as long. So the key is to pick out the stint that you want to use the blacks. Most of the front runners will start on reds and finish on reds, but the black is going to be a little bit quicker towards the end of a stint. You need the reds, though, for restarts. So picking out when you do them, and then the luck of the draw is always going to be critical. That's today's Firestone Tire Tip, brought to you by Firestone, the official tire of the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Thanks, Kevin. We're less than half an hour from the start of today's race when 21 cars take the green flag and battle over this 1.9-mile lap around 11 tight city street turns. 5 different teams have won the last 5 Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, including a popular win in 2013 when Japan's Takuma Sato won his lone IndyCar race to date.
Long Beach. Wow, special moment, memories.
For the first time, a Japan-born driver is going to win a major open-wheel race in North America. Takuma Sato, he is the winner of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Gave Japan a lot of a great story, particularly like after the big earthquake that we needed a lot of good, nice news. The timing wise, it was great because I was going back to Japan after Long Beach, and of course I do continue with the Japan charity to support the north part of Japan for the earthquake, and that's also a great message all the time.
Takuma's win in 2013 came 2 years after Japan's deadly earthquake and tsunami in the northern part of Japan. And his thoughts are once again with the people of Japan this week with the recent earthquakes in the southern region of his homeland. Now let's go to Robin Miller.
Guess what? There's this guy named Graham Rahal. He says he can still win this thing. He's starting 17th, boys. 2 people have won this race from 17th. Kid, you had the fastest car in practice. What do you think?
I think we got a good shot. I mean, it's just really, strategy and obviously we got a really good pit crew here and try to get the pen grade machine to the front. I mean, it's going to be tough for sure. We didn't make it easy. I didn't make it easy on the guys yesterday, but the car was really fast this morning, extremely consistent. A lot of people think we ran new tires. We didn't. We ran old blacks the whole time, and it was solid. So we'll see.
You have a master strategist with you today, though, which you didn't have yesterday. That would be Mr. David Letterman, retired.
Thank you very much.
And
I knew they were running blacks yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, I was one of the few that knew that.
And you pretty much ran the strategy meeting this morning, is what you told me.
My specialty is standing in places where I'm told to move from.
How's retirement treating you?
It's awful. It's awful. I would recommend just dropping dead at the job, which I think you could be a candidate for.
Yes, I could, but don't tell these. My boss is listening. All right, we hope we see you at Indy, and keep playing the lottery because we need more car owners, and you can just branch out and have your own team.
Well,
Rick?
Definitely one of the funniest men in the world. Thank you, Robin. One of the favorite events of this weekend is the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race, which took place yesterday. And one of our own NBCSN Motorsports reporters managed to crash that party, but not wreck anyone else.
Hey, it's Rutledge Wood. I'm here at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach getting ready for the 40th and final running of the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race. This race has been so huge. Their partnership with Racing for Kids and the difference that they've made in the lives of so many children has been amazing. But one thing's for sure, with all the past winners in this race, it is going to be crazy. It was crazy the moment the flag dropped. We all knew turn 1 was going to be hairy, but turns out the hairpin always is the big equalizer. A lot of trading paint out there, a lot of bumpers damaged. And Alfonso Ribeiro, we knew he was going to be fast because he told us 1,000 times he would, and sure enough, he got to the front.
I was able to go out there and drive it and go have fun, and it was amazing. But racing for kids, right? That's why we do this. That's why we're out here.
Whew! I can't believe it's over. The final Toyota Pro Celebrity Race, and I got to be in it. This is the greatest day ever.
And here now with Townsend Bell, who's the Indy Lights winner at Long Beach back in 2001. Now Rutledge, he only had to negotiate the track for 10 laps. The guys in the IndyCar Series, they've got 80 laps in front of them. Tell us what we can expect from a lap here at Long Beach.
Well, it's going to be physical, and while this place requires a lot of precision, it'll reward bravery in a couple key areas. Let's take a closer look at turn 1. Heavy brake zone there, and that's a great opportunity to make a move and try to outbrake your competition. As we work our way around the circuit to the backside, a very similar situation going into what we call turn 9. This is a third gear corner, a little quicker across the apex of the corner, but also a pretty good brake zone, and you'll see guys try to make moves and pop inside as you go to the apex of turn 9. But Long Beach is famous really for one very unique corner, and that's the hairpin. Final corner, first gear, about 28 miles an hour across the middle, and you'll try to lay the power down smoothly as you come back to Shoreline Drive up to about 180 miles an hour. Now, this guy is undisputedly the quickest guy on street circuits in IndyCar, and he does it by taking lots of risks in many places. Will Power here, look at the exit turn 1 right there. The right side tire just an inch maybe from the wall. He'll come through the fountain complex, and you'll see it again on the left side. Just placement of his car left to right to maximize what we call the radius of the corner. And the greater the radius, the greater the speed. Down at turn 8, it's the same thing. It's just pinpoint accuracy, but very, very brave on placement, taking micro chances everywhere, and it all adds up to a very quick lap at Long Beach.
Yeah, surprising as precise as we've seen Will Power. He made a mistake in qualifying yesterday. That will have him starting in the 6th spot. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. Go inside IndyCar all season. Download IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. 4-time Long Beach winner Paul Tracy joins us when we return.
Long Beach is definitely history in our family's history. To be honest, I mean, that's the first thing I think about is that my father had his first and his last win at Long Beach, so that place is special to us for many reasons.
As far as the event, it's history. You know, it's a very iconic event in American racing, the history of IndyCar racing.
Long Beach is the most traditional street courses we go. It's part of the racing legend to be racing there.
An incredible crowd, and pit road is full as we get ready for the starting of the 42nd Grand Prix of Long Beach. Let's go trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your caps, as first off, the Alpha Company Recruiting and Retention Battalion, California Army National Guard, will present our nation's colors. Please remain standing, as now IndyCar Ministries, Father Glenn O'Connor, offers today's invocation.
Good and gracious God, we thank you again for this beautiful day, 42nd annual running of the Toyota of Long Beach. We thank you for so many people that bring this event together. Today we ask you to bless the competitors, all the drivers, the safety personnel. Keep everybody safe today. And as always, as we pray, watch over the men and women in the service of our country. All this we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
And now, here to perform our national anthem, please welcome vocalists from the California Army National Guard 40th Infantry Division Band, Sergeant Marcus D'Angelo.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land
And that is a massive airplane. The goal of every driver in the field today is to end up in victory lane. If you win the Grand Prix of Long Beach, you get a plaque in victory lane, and we saw Paul Tracy's plaque there, 4-time winner at this track, and you did it in different ways. You won from second twice, you won from third, and you've won from 17th. How can you win from starting in the back?
Well, it's great to be back in Long Beach. This was my first IndyCar race, and it's hard to believe it's been 25 years has rolled by, but you can win from anywhere here if you have a good day. And Graham Rahal so far has been really quick all weekend, had bad luck in qualifying. He had a crash in practice, which upset his qualifying, but he was fastest in warm-up. I look for him to come forward. There's a couple other guys with Hondas. James Hinchcliffe looks really good all weekend, so you can win. It's hard, but it can be done.
And Townsend, you mentioned earlier about how good Will Power is at this racetrack, but we've got to look back at where Will Power is right now, because he wasn't able to race at St. Pete, the first race of the season, because of illness. So he's put himself into a little bit of a hole. How aggressive does he have to be at this race?
Well, he got himself into a small hole yesterday with qualifying because he was the fastest guy for the first 2 rounds of qualifying, and then he beat himself, out-braking himself into that turn 9 area. He's always the fastest guy in street circuits over the course of his career against the competition. He just has to stay consistent and use that raw, natural speed consistently without mistakes, and I think he can be a force today.
So both of you would say there's probably 10 to 15 guys that you think could win this race today.
Well, the further up the grid you get, the harder it's going to get. With guys like Montoya and Dixon starting at the front, for Rahal it's going to be tough. He can get there, but strategy is going to be key for him. He's got to somehow cycle his way to the front and then stay there and catch a lucky break.
We're looking forward to it. We're moments away from the start of today's race. Thank you for watching IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon. When we come back, the green flag will drop on the 42nd running of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Drivers getting ready to strap into their cars. We're racing next.
Welcome to Long Beach. This street course certainly lives up to its name. At almost 2 miles in length, it's a concrete labyrinth sitting on the shores of the Pacific. But what makes this place so special is not just the length or the setting, but the people. From the fans that watch in the stands to the parties in the penthouses above. They return year after year because of the excitement contained in the walls below. But it's also the legends that have passed over these city streets that make this event special too. Ask any of them. This is the one race you want to win next to the Indy 500. Believe me, I know what it means.
Al Unser Jr. has won the Grand Prix at Long Beach.
Today, Long Beach is set to run the next chapter of this marquee event. With cars going over 200 miles per hour, the wheel-to-wheel excitement of watching today's stars of IndyCar. It's hard not to realize how special this place has truly become. Welcome to Long Beach.
Well done, boys. That was a sweet way to win.
Welcome to the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach on NBCSN. A picture-perfect venue for racing, and the temperature, the weather is perfect, beautiful skies. 21 drivers will negotiate around an 11-turn street course for 80 laps. There's one of the streets, Pine Avenue, Seaside Way, Shoreline, all streets that those locals here know about, and that's where they're going to be racing today. Before we race, we've got to get the engines fired. Let's go for the command. Oscar De La Hoya taking us today.
Long Beach Stand. It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome once again Olympic gold medalist, chairman and CEO of Golden Boy Promotions, Oscar De La Hoya, to give the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
engines have come to life, drivers strapped in, and Paul, they're in their office now. You've experienced this, the pageantry, the celebrity. Is there a calmness now that they're in their cars ready to race?
No, right now is the time where you have the most butterflies worrying about what's going to happen on the start. But this race, you know, you have Oscar De La Hoya saying, drivers, start your engines. The amount of celebrities, musicians, the people in the pit lane is only rivals Indianapolis. So it's very hectic for the drivers. They really get no time. They get pushed and pulled here and there, meet this person, meet that person. Now, they're sitting there, you see these guys are touching the steering wheel, they're touching their helmet. There's a lot of nervous anticipation going on right now.
And we've seen how precise every lap has to be. You can't really be nervous. You've got to be more on point when you start this race.
And I think a lot of guys, Rick, are thinking about where they are on downforce as we see the two-seater going around, and that looks going to play heavily here as we get to the start.
Absolutely. Don't miss a chance to get in on Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes. Enter at racewithhonda.com. Today's lucky winner is Steve Riches from Crossville, Tennessee. By logging on to racewithhonda.com, Steve won the opportunity to start today's race with Indy 500 champion Mario Andretti. All right, Steve, did you give Mario any instructions as far as should he scare you on this ride? Are you still catching your breath, Steve? Well, and that's what happens. You lose your breath when you go around this racetrack. Again, 11 turns. They'll go 80 laps here at the Grand Prix of Long Beach. The green flag's coming out next. Welcome back to Long Beach. Cars warming up the tires, the engines, the fluids, getting ready for the start. And let's take a look at how they'll line up. The Mother's Polish starting grid. In the first row, Helio Castroneves with his third Long Beach pole, and Scott Dixon, he actually started third last year on his way to the win. Two drivers that have never won in row two, Simon Pagenaud, Tony Kanaan, Juan Pablo Montoya, Will Power, both have won. James Hinchcliffe and Takuma Sato back in row four. Row five, Joseph Newgarden and Carlos Munoz, he was third in 2014. Ryan Hunter-Reay, Luca Filippi in row six. Row seven sees rookie Connor Daly, Sebastian Bourdais, Charlie Kimball, and Alexander Rossi, another rookie, both from California in row 8. Graham Rahal, Mikael Aloshin in 9 and 10. Another rookie in Max Chilton and Jack Hawksworth. At the back of the field, Marco Andretti. Riding along with a few different drivers, Graham Rahal has the Pengrade motor oil onboard camera in that number 15. James Hinchcliffe with the Lucas Oil on board. Will Power, he will carry a camera as well in the number 12. Tony Kanaan with the NTT data, number 10. Simon Pagenaud and the Verizon on board, and that number 22. And Ryan Hunter-Reay with the Verizon streaming. You can download IndyCar Mobile to access exclusive live in-car cameras, hear driver and pit crew chatter, and more, only on Verizon. Let's go to pit road and Kevin Lee.
Well, next to the Indianapolis 500, Marco Andretti says there's no other race he wants to win. Everybody wants this race, but his family. Michael on his stand won 2 times. Mario, grandpa, won 4 times, but he's got his work cut out for him. Starting last, but he did find something in practice today. If they get a break, they can race with the leaders. Robin Miller?
Kevin, last year Connor Daly was having breakfast on Saturday morning in qualifying day. Dale Coyne called him and said, come drive my car. He did such a good job. He's got a full-time ride with Coyne this year. He starts 13th, and he says, I'm going to go grave digger on these guys today at the start. Katie?
James Hinchcliffe is the top Honda on today's grid, starting 7th, and Hinch told me his car just rolled off well, so they've been able to focus on little things to pick up the speed. And even though he just barely missed the Firestone Fast 6, Hinch is looking at the positives of that, like starting on the clean side of the track, having an extra set of sticker reds, and getting a few guys on the start. Marty?
Katie, Team Penske going for their 6th Long Beach Grand Prix win, and talking to Roger Penske this morning, he told me the one thing they're a little bit worried about, how narrow this pit road is. It's about 2.5 lanes wide, and that's it. So entrance into your pit stall and the exit from your pit stall going to be very critical today. And his driver, Helio Castroneves, has that number 1 stall by virtue of qualifying on the pole at Phoenix a couple of weeks ago. We'll see if that pays dividends this afternoon. Rick?
Thank you, Barty. Captain Roger Penske.
I never liked being down where Roger's pitting, but they pit these cars now by where they finished. To being on that curve, not being able to see the other cars coming makes it really tough in the race.
And the field working their way through 10 and the hairpin before we see the green flag. Go 2 by 2 again up front. Helio Castroneves, Scott Dixon. Dixon won here a year ago. It was one of the most coveted wins of his career, winning at Long Beach. Who will win today? Green flags in the air.
That was a nice start, nice lineup. Hopefully they can all get through turn 1.
Tony Kanaan trying to make some moves early. Not able to get by Scott Dixon. Dixon tucks in behind Helio Castroneves, and they make their way into 2. And by the beautiful fountain through 2 and 3, 2 wide as they work their way into 3. Jockeying for position going into turn 4.
Saw some loose body work there, so a little bit of contact midway to back of pack, but very well-behaved field at the front.
And we've got problems with Marco Andretti already. Andretti back under power. What's going on, Kevin?
I heard stuck throttle on the radio. Nothing scarier than that, so we'll see if he can get this sorted out and stay on track.
So on fire will back up and get going once again. As now they work their way into turn 9. We'll take you through laps as we go here.
Big piece of body work came off. That could lead to a yellow flag here in a little bit. We don't know who that came from as they work through the hairpin. And now we'll get to see if anybody went low downforce and tries to make a move as you get up to top speed here on Shoreline.
Each driver has 10 push to pass. It's a boost of horsepower. As we see a little bump there. Simon Pagenaud getting by Dixon. Pagenaud takes
really
second
nice
away
pass.
from
He
Dixon.
sure put the squeeze on Dixon. And I don't know if this is a good call by Dixon. It's certainly something that I wouldn't do, is start on scuffed tires. I really think, Townsend, that's going to be, if this run goes long, the last 7 or 8 laps, I think it's going to hurt him performance-wise.
Well, he's obviously saving his good reds for the end. Marty, what do you know about Dixon's tires?
Well, in the theory, guys, is that the scuff tires might come in a little bit quicker, but at some point, Paul, because of the fact they used 2 sets of red tires in qualifying yesterday, they've got to run those scuff tires. So do you take it early in the race, or do you chance it late in the race? So that's the strategy. They're going to go with stickers late in the race on those red sets of tires.
For me, I would take them later in the race because there'll be more rubber on the track. Right now, you've got a lot of rubber from the other series. The ALMS ran, or the endurance cars ran yesterday, so the track is slick right now, so I would have went with stickers myself.
Tony Kanaan still holding on to the 4th spot behind Scott Dixon, who jumped back to 3rd after Pagenaud was able to get by him as they went into turn number 1. And Townsend, you had mentioned earlier, that's a great passing area, and Pagenaud took advantage of it.
It was textbook, had a great toe off the car in front of him.
With Ryan Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay also making the pass on Joseph Newgarden.
Another textbook pass, and you can see Hunter-Reay, the numeric indicator was blinking green, so Hunter-Reay had used the button, a push to pass. He has 7 left. He's already used 3 at the start of this race. You get a total of 10. Pagenaud also used 2. Dixon's used 2.
It's 50 additional horsepower, and it goes for a duration of 20 seconds. Now, there's not a straightaway here that they could stay on for 20 seconds. It's about 16 on the front stretch, but you have that opportunity for all 20 of those seconds.
Yeah, you got to be careful, too, not to use them all. I mean, we're 3 laps into the race now. Hunter-Reay's used 3, so you got to save some for restarts and at the end of the race, because if you're out of bullets and now you're in a good position, then what do you do?
James Hinchcliffe chasing after Juan Pablo Montoya. Juan Pablo Montoya already a victor in 2016. The Firestone telemetry in the upper right-hand corner, as you see him go into 6th gear. He'll get upwards of 172 miles an hour, and the pass for the lead. Helio Castroneves holds on to it. Simon Pagenaud, an aggressive move trying to get by Helio, doesn't make the pass.
Pagenaud, your championship points leader, but there's nothing conservative about the way he's driving right now. He wants to win Long Beach.
And we saw that Helio made him go to the outside, so he protected the inside. Dixon gave Pagenaud the inside, so a little bit of maneuvering by Castroneves. He's not an easy guy to pass, that's for sure.
Paul, Simon Pagenaud and his engineer Ben Breston really worked in the morning warm-up, as did Will Power. and his team on going with a very low downforce package. Simon wasn't sure if it was going to work because he says it's really making the car unstable when I get up right behind someone, but we're thinking about it to make the car really fast in the long straightaways. He told me right before he climbed in, we went ahead and did it that way. We're going to take a gamble on it. Willpower also in the low downforce package, Marty.
And Kevin, Roger Penske came on the radio to Elio Castroneves and said, don't use the overtake there, way to stay cool and be calm. We talked to the pre-race guys about how these Penske drivers would play it early in the race. They're playing it pretty aggressive right now, and Simon Pagenaud not holding anything back, is he?
Fascinating to watch Penske racing right now this early in the season. All four of these guys capable of winning races and championships. They all four want to establish themselves as the championship leader. Montoya had some bad luck at Phoenix, and Pagenaud right now is saying, hey, if I can win this Long Beach race, maybe the rest of my teammates are going to start supporting a charge for the overall title.
I highly doubt that's going to happen. If we judge off of last year, we had all four Penske guys battling each other last year in the championship and tripping over themselves, and that allowed Scott Dixon to win his 4th championship. But you know, Pagenaud's got the bit between his teeth. He knows with that low downforce, if he can get in front and get some clean air over those wings, he'll be in control.
Well, Castroneves right now being stingy with the push to pass. He's got 9 left, as you said. That's 450 horsepower in the bag.
Still hanging on to it. Elio Castroneves able to set the pace also, and that could become important as far as pit strategy, fuel strategy for these drivers. As Castroneves continues to pace the field, this is the 5th time in 12 Long Beach starts Elio Castroneves has been out front. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Pengrade Motor Oil. Make the grade. And welcome back as we ride along with Tony Kanaan. You saw at home, Charlie Kimball was the first to get off sequence, come to pit road, went from the primary black tires to the alternate red tires. You have to use both compounds at some point in time during this race, so now Charlie Kimball has done that. And off sequence by meaning he pitted way earlier than what we would anticipate them needing to pit. The pit window is 24 to 27 laps, but at a road course, you back it up. You go from the back of the race, which is 80 laps, go back your 27 laps to say lap 53, and then we would expect them around lap 26 to be coming to pit road.
Yeah, and Kimball's just thinking, let's get clean air. We're back in the pack here, put the fresh Firestone Reds on, and go click off some fast laps and try to get off strategy, get lucky on a yellow, make this a 3-stopper.
Yeah, really the strategy for him is if it goes yellows, we look at Bourdais trying to make a move on Connor. Connor hanging tough ahead of a 4-time champion, so that's pretty. Look at Graham Rahal now all over the back of Bourdais. So this is some tough competition right here.
And we've seen Graham Rahal looking very impressive all weekend. But take a look at what he's done since the green flag drop. Here able to go by Alexander Rossi.
There he is on Luca Filippi.
Started 17th, now up to 14th. Graham Rahal, one of the stronger here in the field, just didn't have the qualifying run that he was hoping for. Katie.
Yeah, and coming back up through the field is something that Graham Rahal is quite used to. If you remember back to Phoenix, he was the biggest mover there, improving 14 positions. If you go back to 2015 and look at his 2 wins, in Mid-Ohio, he started 13th and won. Fontana, he started 19th and won. So he said today the team is confident that they can come back up through the field again. Rick?
Thanks, Katie. And yesterday, after qualifying, he was disappointed. He was very disappointed after he got out of the car, talking to Katie yesterday in qualifying. That was not what they were anticipating. Yeah. They thought they could start definitely quite a bit closer to the front.
Last year, he was one of the guys that just never gave up. As we see Hawksworth in the pit, Katie got him down there.
Yeah, Jack Hawksworth was really frustrated this weekend. He was fast, and they went the complete opposite direction in qualifying, put him deep into the field. So he wanted to pit early to hopefully cycle through to the front later. Rick?
Thanks, Katie. Now they'll have to. He's got to go 55 miles an hour on pit road here, but then when he comes out, there's a blend line. He can't come right out onto the racetrack because it's right at the entrance to turn 1. So he'll have to come out, stay in the blend area before he makes his way because the pack is going to be coming behind him.
Yes, super long pit lane, takes a long time to get down here. Now he's back up to speed. He'll cut 2 wheels over the yellow line. and away he goes. As the leader is now just coming out of the hairpin, so he was able to stay on the lead lap. Now if it goes yellow, he's pitted, and that'll put him at the front of the field. So that's what they're gambling on. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you know, here we are back to the leader, Townsend. He's pulled out a little bit on Pagano now. It's kind of status quo now.
Yeah, things starting to stretch out just a little bit as a lot of these guys start to think about fuel mileage. We're on board with Hinchcliffe. So he works through the fountain corner.
It's so close. They're so close to these walls. You mentioned it earlier with Will Power, how tight and how precise they have to be with every turn.
And guys, you were talking a moment ago, Townsend, about the fuel mileage, and that's starting to creep into the picture for everybody. Roger Penske has reminded Helio Castroneves a couple of times of where he needs to be on his fuel number. That's a number that pops up on his steering wheel. He needs to hit that fuel number every lap. They're trying to save till they can get to about lap 25, 26, as Rick mentioned a moment ago. And I think that's what happened a moment ago. Helio was saving a little bit of fuel. His teammate Simon Pagano caught him a little bit, and that's also why Roger Penske said, hey, don't use the push to pass right now. Just keep the lead, keep that pace, and you can kind of maintain that gap, can't you, Townsend, and save fuel at the same time when you're the leader.
Yeah, we've got 80 laps to run here, so you're going to have to go 27, 27, and 26, assuming no yellows, as we see Juan Pablo Montoya work his way across start finish. Now, I'd say so far this year, guys, Montoya has been the measuring stick, and didn't have a great qualifying session, got caught out by his teammate Will Power with the red flag, but he just seems so confident, Paul, at every track we go to now. I think he knows I can win everywhere.
Well, he knows how to play the fuel game. He knows how to play the racecraft. He knows not to get in trouble. You know, but it did unravel for him at the last race last year. So he only made one mistake the whole year, and it cost him the championship. But you know, right now this is a race. It could go a long time before there's a yellow. It could be filled with yellows, or it could go start to finish green. You never know.
Takuma Sato, they're the 14 former winner. And his only IndyCar win came right here at the streets of Long Beach.
And these two Hondas, this is your first two Hondas in the field with Hinchcliffe and Sato. Both guys there have only used one push to pass. I'm guessing that would have been on the race start. So they've been pretty stingy too, saving that for later on in the race, potentially for a restart mid-race. So far, the Hinchcliffe car and Sato, they seem to be hanging on to the Penske's just fine.
And a very clean race early on here. We haven't seen any bumping. We haven't seen too aggressive a passing.
Give us time. Give us time. This is IndyCar. This is a street race. It'll get crazy later on. Kevin?
Max Chilton, the rookie, former Formula One driver, is going to opt for the three-stop strategy unless there's a huge amount of yellow, but this is most likely a three-stop strategy. He's getting a little more comfortable every single week. And this is a track he's actually been to. He finished 5th here last year in Indy Lights, so they really found something in the morning warm-up, and he's hoping he can race with people, but he's running 18th, so that's why they went for the third-stop strategy.
You can see as Max Chilton is leaving pit road where Helio Castroneves is, just entering turn 9 and 10 as Chilton is making his way onto the track.
And at our last race at Phoenix, it's a disadvantage if you would have pitted and then the yellow comes out because how short the track is. Here it's just the opposite. If you were to pit and a yellow comes out, it's an advantage because then everybody's going to cycle through and you didn't go a lap down. So doesn't look like much risk of a yellow, but anything can happen, especially as the tires start to wear, which is an issue for guys that have started on scuffed reds. That's Dixon, Hinchcliffe, Sato, Hunter-Reay. As we get to about halfway through the stint here, these hot temperatures, track temp is about 120 degrees, it really starts to work those red tires over a stint.
And right now, everybody's just really kind of fuel mileage racing, trying to stretch the run as long as they can go. Guys like me typically would get impatient sitting here and waiting and start pushing the envelope and like, okay, I'm tired now. I'm gonna bump you out of the way to get by. So later on in the race, it's gonna get much more aggressive than what we see right now. You're gonna see guys pushing and shoving as we get further into the race.
I think in Southern California, that's referred to as riding dirty.
That's right.
Or on the 405. It was little, and here we go. We've got a move here.
Newgarden trying to work Hunter-Reay. Hunter-Reay getting defensive there, driving up the right-hand side. Now that is allowed. He's being proactive, driving the right-hand side, taking the brake zone away from Newgarden. See what happens here on Shoreline.
And guys, I think you're right. Everybody's sort of playing the fuel game, but they just told Joseph Newgarden on the radio a moment ago, listen, Ryan is complaining about tires, the guy in front of you, Ryan Hunter-Reay. So they told him to go into attack mode. Obviously, Joseph Newgarden adhering to that, and he told me all weekend long, we've been very good on old tires. That's where I think we'll be able to pass people in this part of the run from the middle on.
I talked to Hunter-Reay this morning. One of the things he was complaining about is that he really didn't feel like his car was riding down in the track. He feels like he's kind of up on the bumps. They haven't quite been able to hit it right on setup. And now, as again, the tires wear, that becomes a bigger issue. And Hunter-Reay's hanging on.
He's got a whole train of guys here, all aggressive guys wanting to get by. So this is going to be tough work. If he gets freight trained by Newgarden, it can really free fall him and lose a couple more positions.
And if you're Newgarden, you're now almost 11 seconds back of the leader. So, you know, saving fuel is all well and good until you feel like the race is starting to go away from you. So the sense of urgency will grow as the gap to the leaders grows.
Pagano, Power, Montoya all just ran their fastest laps of the race. So those that are thinking about fuel mileage, we've got some other drivers that are getting aggressive down the middle of this run. Kevin?
Michael Andretti calling strategy for Marco. You're not coming in early on a 3-stop strategy. What's the game plan to try to make up some spots from the back?
Yeah, we're talking about that right now. But we had a problem with Marco at the start when the engine quit going into turn 1. He had to reset all the electronics, so it was a little disappointing. But you know, we'll see. We're going to need a yellow here to change things up.
And they've been pushing a little bit early. It was saving fuel. About 5 laps ago, Michael said, go ahead and turn it up, try to catch up. We've got to catch up with the pack and try to then hope for a yellow.
Now, Michael knows better than anyone. You can be at the back at this race and end up at the front. He did it back in 2002, I believe. He was the slowest car, frankly, that weekend, but smart strategy got him to the front.
You know, Rick, it's, you know, we're talking about lap times, about the front runners saving fuel and making good lap time. You know, these guys are so good at that they're able to keep the tire within a good temperature range, not use fuel, roll the corners with speed, brake late, roll off the gas, and make lap time by not driving the car all the way into the corner. And that's what makes these guys the best in the business.
They're just that, and Helio Castroneves wants to be the best at Long Beach, which he has been before. Won this race back in 2001 and has led since the drop of the green flag. On March 28, 1976, the stars of F1 made their debut at Long Beach for the first of 2 races in the United States that year. Clay Regazzoni led the field to green. Eventual world champion James Hunt, he fell out early. He retired after just 3 laps. Nicky Lauda would finish second after starting 4th. They all were chasing Clay Regazzoni that day, who led all 80 laps.
I like that music, man. It feels like an episode of Chips.
Well, more fitting is we're right by the one here, Pacific Highway. And we are racing the streets of Long Beach. Helio Castroneves continuing to lead as we're on lap 20. He's led all 19 previous. Simon Pagano gave him a little bit of a scare early on. Was able to get by the 9 of Scott Dixon, who started second, has dropped back to 3rd now. As you see Ryan Hunter-Reay, Joseph Newgarden, and Connor Daly in the 18. Robin.
Well, Connor started 13th. He's up to 12th. He pulled away from Bourdais a little bit. But it's interesting, his dad, Derek Daly, who ran here in Formula One and in kart, said, I'm so proud of my kid. He's a lot smarter, a lot smoother than I am. I couldn't be this patient. I'd already hit the wall and knocked somebody out of the race. So I'll tell you what, Dale Coyne's got this kid all year with the Bird family's money, and I think it's going to pay dividends because he's an awfully good race driver, boys.
Graham Rahal just stuck into the pits.
Yep. So Graham has taken advantage of coming in a little bit earlier than what we were anticipating. Katie.
Graham Rahal had a frustrating weekend after crashing in practice and not having a great qualifying, but his team did win the pit stop competition earlier today. A good, clean stop for Graham.
Yeah, in and out quick for Graham Rahal. If we stay green, that's obviously something that these teams are going to be hoping for, is that they're faster on pit road than anybody else.
Yeah, well, he'd need a lot of yellow to make it on just one more stop. It'll be interesting to see that the sticker blacks go on, what kind of pace Graham can make in a clean track.
Red still on Helio Castroneves. That's what he started the race with. Red's just a little bit softer tire compound than the blacks. Wear out a little bit quicker. Dixon has fallen back to third. It's Tony Kanaan, Will Power in fifth. Juan Pablo Montoya, James Hinchcliffe, Takuma Sato, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Joseph Newgarden in the top 10.
Guys, now another car peeled in. Newgarden came in. Bourdais coming in the pit lane.
And as they're coming at you, let's go to Marty.
Joseph Newgarden just requested a turn of front wing. A couple of cars coming down pit road. Sebastian Bourdais would hit his stall first. For Newgarden, they're pitting here early. All these teams pitting right now will need a little bit of caution help. As you mentioned, Townsend, Joseph Newgarden coming in. You see those sticker tires going on for Joseph Newgarden, and the turn of wing that he requested. He leaves with 4 fresh tires. We'll see how these guys cycle out, and if the cautions fall their way and they can make it on one more stop.
That's the big question, is will the cautions make their way, fall their way for them?
Just watching a replay of Newgarden stop, it seemed pretty status quo, smooth and clean. And he needed that because at Phoenix,
oh yes,
it was tough. He had some issues getting the fuel plugged in.
Yeah, and he apologized to the team at Phoenix. They thought that he had stopped a little bit too far away from the pit wall, so they had a little bit of trouble engaging the fuel. But look at the blend line as Bourdais comes out, and that's how close it is when they come back out onto the track.
And that's what you do if you're Bourdais. He was absolutely by the letter of the law. He obeyed the yellow line at the end of pit lane as we see a lotion on pit lane.
The time on the digital display, 7.8 seconds. So the fans watching across from pit road can see how fast the stops are. They also, those digital displays will show their position on the track when they are out on the track. Also, they'll show when they had to push the pass.
See, guys, now Graham Rahal's made a position on Bourdais, which is going to help him. Watch his pit stop was fast. The lotion comes out in front of Hawksworth. This is a good weekend for Hawksworth. He was very quick in practice, had a bad qualifying, but now is moving up. Maybe Hunter-Reay might come to the pit lane this time. As he does, he's peeling off.
There goes Ryan Hunter-Reay. The furthest up that has pitted already is Charlie Kimball. He is 14th as Ryan Hunter-Reay is working his way down the very long pit road here at Long Beach. And in for his stop.
Sunoco fuel, and for Firestone primary Firehawks, he started on the scuffed alternate, so this is the middle stint from him. Hunter-Reay has picked up a couple of spots so far in his first stint. The car is much better today than it has been all weekend.
And we saw aggressive moves out of Ryan Hunter-Reay on the start and restarts at Phoenix. If we have another restart, we would expect the same out of Ryan Hunter-Reay.
A little tough to be as bold here at Long Beach. You can try to dive bomb a little bit there in turn one, but we've seen that happen
there goes
the wrong way.
Rahal
very close there, blending out.
He was quite far behind Hunter-Reay before the cycle of pit stops at Bourdais, and now we'll go on attack mode here.
And these are all the guys that pitted early on a 3-stop strategy, so this is critical on the outlap for Hunter-Reay as Bourdais looking up the inside.
And that, not normally a place you would look to pass going into 5.
Well, but you would on cold tires because Bourdais knows if Hunter-Reay gets temperature on the outlap, he's going to be really tough to pass. I've got to make it happen soon.
Yeah, if he gets to the back straightaway, it's over now. Now the tires are just about up to temperature, and he'll be able to hang on. He needed to really get it done. As we see Connor Daly in the pits, we'll see where he can cycle out.
And it was who? That was.
Remember, Hunter-Reay was racing with Connor Daly. Hunter-Reay was just in front of Daly as they came to pit lane, so it's a battle on pit lane with the guys and the battle on the outlap with the drivers.
Just coming out of 11 is Ryan Hunter-Reay, and it looks as though Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to be able to get past Connor Daly as he's on pit road. As he tries to come blending out, we'll see if it works. This is how close it's going to be.
He's going to get a couple of positions here.
Watch this gaggle.
And he slides right in behind Ryan Hunter-Reay.
That is pretty darn close on pit stop time, in lap, out lap.
We got two rookies here that are going to battle each other. We have Chilton. Whoa, where's he going?
Chilton took a shortcut.
That's a shortcut, Chilton. You can't do that.
I'm not sure that the IndyCar memo on racing etiquette, we see power on pit lane.
And he makes his mark. He's going to still be in position to make this a two-stopper. And this is a really quick stop for the 12 Verizon team. Power is back out.
Will Power, how aggressive will he be? Under 7 seconds on that stop. And here comes Marco Andretti to you, Kevin.
50 miles an hour. It's been a tough go so far for Marco Andretti. They were already starting last, and then they had the mechanical issue with the engine shutting off or the throttle stuck, so that made them in catch-up mode for quite a while. Started on alternates, and a slower stop this time for Marco is going to cost them even more track position as they go back to the primary Firestones.
They're going to take a lot of front wing out of Marco Andretti's car, which means he's loose on aero balance. You know, just going back to Chilton, I saw him do that the previous lap, Paul, but I don't know that that's actually against the rules because track limit on a street circuit is the concrete wall.
Well, I'm sure there's a rule not to go underneath the curbs, so I would.
How do you know?
Well,
he tried something
other
new.
Tracks that we used to race at, like Edmonton and places like that, you couldn't go on the inside of the curbs. We have the Montoya car coming now. This will be a quick stop. These guys are the best in the business.
Montoya started 5th, Paul. He is still running 5th. They're going to put on scuff primary tires here for Montoya, who said he had a little bit of an understeer. He asked for an air pressure adjustment. He got it. He leaves pit road. We'll see where he cycles out. The leaders should be pitting here in this next lap.
James Hinchcliffe on pit road as well. And now as we're on lap 27, we've heard everyone targeting that number. James Hinchcliffe had a little bit of issue. A little bit of an issue on pit road. And he had to wait for the 26 of Carlos Munoz.
That's really tough to do. You saw the mechanic was jumping up and down in anger, so that's extra second will cost you so much. Look at it, he's got Newgarden all over him now, so he's lost a ton of time on the track.
And Helio Castroneves on pit road, Barney.
And this is going to be interesting because Tony Kanaan is set up right in front of Helio Castroneves. You see him coming down pit road. Helio, no complaints with the race car. He was really saving fuel that entire run. They're going to put on sticker blacks for Helio Castroneves. Should not be any changes to the chassis on that front wing, and there are indeed not changes. We'll see where the leader cycles out and if Helio's able to hang on to that lead. Right behind him, Tony Kanaan coming in. They also are going with blacks, but theirs are going to be scuff blacks for Tony Kanaan, who had a little bit of understeer. That was his only issue.
Scott Dixon hasn't come to pit road yet, but will have to, so he is now the race leader as Helio Castroneves comes back out on track.
And this is the race right here. This is Pagano's going to come out right in front of Montoya, I believe, as Will Powers coming up on Kanaan.
Kanaan gets out on track, goes through 2 and 3. And Scott Dixon pushing the limits right now as far as fuel.
Watch Montoya. This is his chance right here. Oh, he got sideways, Paul, over the apex.
On the push to pass, though, so he will try. He's got to get it done here, but he's not close enough.
Juan Pablo Montoya chasing after. And the 10 of Tony Kanaan. And here comes Scott Dixon to pit road. Dixon relinquishing the lead now. Charlie Kimball will take over the top spot.
Rick Scott Dixon once again showing why he's a master at saving fuel. You see him coming to pit road, and he said in the middle of that stint, I don't know if starting on scuff revs was the right call or not. He was hanging on, but able to make the fuel last and make good time. They put on sticker blacks. It's going to be interesting to see where he cycles out, and if staying out one more lap helped him out with track position.
Helio Castroneves goes by, and Scott Dixon now coming out.
He might get second here.
Very close there. He gets just in front of Simon Pagano.
He's got to make that car very wide now, but this is going to allow Castroneves to really streak away and build a big lead.
Charlie Kimball on a different pit strategy. Remember, he came to pit road on lap 6.
Oh, Dixon had a clean exit there. Great job.
So it's Charlie Kimball out front. Helio Castroneves scored second. Scott Dixon, Simon Pagano, Will Power, Tony Kanaan, Juan Pablo Montoya, Kumasato, Newgarden, and Hinchcliffe, the top 10 in Long Beach.
Welcome back to the 42nd annual Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, where Helio Castroneves is leading. we want to wish Dan Gurney a happy birthday because 85 years old on Wednesday, and it was a wonderful collection of people that were there. Danny Sullivan drove up, Bobby Rahal, Dario Franchitti, and there you can see Dan with his son, Alex, some of his old mechanics from his Eagle days. His son, Justin, prepared his 1967 Eagle and gave it to him, along with the car that Jimmy Clark drove, and there's Dan's car right there. One of the great things of all time is Dan Gurney, one of the great men, one of the great innovators, and he's the reason we're at Long Beach, folks, believe me.
Yeah, Robin, he never raced at Long Beach, but it's because of Dan Gurney that we are racing at Long Beach right now.
Well, he tore it up in the celebrity race here one year, but if you're a space buff at all, Dan Gurney actually built the carbon fiber legs on the SpaceX Falcon rocket that landed on the barge a couple weeks ago. An amazing accomplishment.
Now, after all of that pit cycle, that allowed Castroneves here. He's got a little bit of a lead on Dixon, but Dixon right now has the hammer down. He's about 0.6 of a second quicker than Castroneves on that last lap, so he's going to want to close that gap down.
So remember at the start of the race, it was Castroneves and Dixon on the front row, but Pagano made aggressive moves to take second away from Dixon, but now through the cycling of pit stops, Dixon has taken second back and is in at least sight of the lead now with Elio Castroneves in front of him.
He's pulled away from Pagano. Pagano's all over him on the outlap. He's pulled the gap as we see Hunter Ray and Charlie chasing after him. He's moving his way forward now with that alternate strategy. But Dixon now has got to put the hammer down and chase down Castroneves.
Charlie Kimball on Firestone Reds, Hunter Ray on Blacks, and Hunter Ray has been struggling on that first stint, so it's going to take everything he has to hold off Kimball on fresh red tires.
And amazingly, here comes Charlie Kimball looking at the inside of Hunter Ray, but Charlie Kimball started the race 15th, went on a different pit strategy, and is now running 15th again.
That push to pass, you can see it, PP.
It worked.
On the side of the car. He was by him, Townsend, by half straightaway.
Yeah, massive boost when you use the button there. Kimball currently has 3 left, so he's burned 7. And that was his 8th. Kimball's got 2 left. And again, in the field, the person with money in the bank on the field is Elio Castroneves.
Just cut that corner again on the inside.
You talked about the rule book earlier. You've never read a rule book in your life.
He just completely went on the inside of the curbs and gained a huge amount of time on Hunter Ray. So, I mean, I can't see how that's allowed.
He may have not read the rule book, but I'm sure officials have definitely told him about it. Take a look at Max Chilton cutting the corner.
Well, I think it's at least 3 times. Let's watch him here on Connor Daly. I'm just gonna, that's clever. I mean, I can't
why would you do that in qualifying if it's allowed? Because it's way faster. So I can't see how the series is allowing
But
that.
how do you know that the series hasn't seen that yet? Maybe that's the first time anybody's tried it. Yeah, I know.
I'm seeing it. I've seen
for
it
the
3
first
times
time.
already.
But listen, maybe they've lost their chance to make that warning. That's the 3rd time he's done it. We've heard nothing from race control.
Oh, he's on the push to pass.
Here comes Max Chilton, wheel to wheel, with Ryan Hunter Ray not able to make the pass
See
in
if
one.
he makes that shortcut again.
Yeah, we're coming to it. 2 more corners. Let's watch.
It's be a great view here from behind to see if he does it.
This is 4 coming up on 5. Let's see if he does take the shortcut.
No, he likes to mix it up and keep them guessing.
Through 6 and 7. He's got a lotion right on his back wing. At 8, and now the long straightaway. They took a little bit of the curbing out of 8 so that they could cut that corner. But they didn't tell anybody about taking anything out of 5.
Really, they took the curbing out of there because it was damaging the bottom of the cars. The guys were hitting the curbs so hard that they were leaving here with the bottoms of the tub. The corners of the tub were broken out of the cars. So it was really to save money for the teams. It really didn't affect the lap time overall. The cars are about the same lap speed as they were last year.
3 different drivers have been out front. Elio Castroneves has led 30 laps. Charlie Kimball was out front for 2. Scott Dixon has led 2.
And there's a pass. Alexander Rossi making a move on Luca Filippi.
Rossi had some issues in practice on Friday. Got into the tires, had to replace the front wing, but since then has been fairly strong.
You see Dixon now, he's closing that gap. He's a lot closer now. The last lap is a 3/10 quicker than
than Castroneves, so he's closed that gap to Castroneves.
It was 1.4 seconds the gap the last time they went across the start-finish line. This time, about the same. Right at the same distance between Dixon and Castroneves.
Something we haven't talked about, if we slide back to Montoya, if you look closely, Montoya still, oh, he's on blacks. Our data showed he was on reds. I was going to say, wow, he's going to finish on blacks, but we got the wrong data stream there. So everybody on the same strategy.
Takuma Sato just back behind Juan Pablo Montoya. Katie?
Guy that calls Takuma Sato's races is Larry Foyt. Larry, your driver, a winner here back in 2013. How do you get him back to victory lane today on strategy?
It's tough right now. I think everyone's in the same boat strategy-wise. It's been a bit of a fuel mileage race, so you don't really know what everybody's got out there. So just trying to get enough fuel where we can race hard at the end and make it a good show, and I think we got the driver in the car to do it, so we'll see what happens.
All right, and Takuma Sato holding tight in 7th, Rick.
Still up in the top 10.
It could be tough for a few guys if we do not get yellow. I see Hinch, Sato, 26 laps for Hinch, 25 laps for Sato. That's going to make it a big stretch to make it to the end on just one more stop. Whereas Castroneves, Dixon, Pagano, I think they have the mileage to make it based on what we see right now.
Trying to make it a two-stop race. We mentioned the fuel window between 24 and 27. We almost have to go at least 27 to be able to make it on two stops.
And I can't stress in this situation how big it is for Dixon to have made that extra lap on the first stint. Dixon going farther than anyone. He can then turn up the power, use all the fuel he needs. Kevin?
Really talking about Max Chilton to make sure that he hits his marks. You can't hitch the inside fuel guy. This is also a challenging pit lane because of the angle. It's tough to get the fuel hose and the Buckeye secured properly, and the inside rear has the toughest because of the angle here on pit lane. Chilton on a 3-stop strategy is going to have to do one more.
And we understand from race control that they've informed him that he can no longer exploit turn 5 like he has been.
It now has become the Paul Tracy rule. You can't do that, right? Is that the rule?
Yeah, I knew that as soon as I saw it happen.
Cutting below the curving in 5, but that won't happen anymore as the officials had let him know you can't do it. Elio Castroneves is doing everything he can to get out front and stay there. Are you up for football? Next Sunday, 11 Eastern, league leading Leicester continue their title push against Swansea. Weekend coverage begins Saturday morning at 7 Eastern as Manchester City hosts Stoke. The Premier League is on NBC-SN. Coming up on the halfway point of the 42nd running of the Grand Prix at Long Beach. Out in front, it's the 3 of Elio Castroneves. Let's go through the field. We'll start with Marty Snyder.
Rick, you know, it's funny talking to Elio Castroneves earlier this week, and he told me normally Juan Pablo Montoya is off on his own island setup-wise, and we kind of make fun of him a little bit. But this weekend, we all went to Juan Pablo Montoya's setup because that helped us so much. It's going to be interesting to see this battle at the end of the race between Elio and Scott Dixon right behind him. For Elio, he has scuffed reds for this final stop. Scott Dixon, he will have a set of sticker reds for the next stop. That's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. Scott Dixon has now tied himself for 3rd on the list with 39 wins with Al Unser Jr. He said, I'm not quite comfortable being in that group, but I like being in that group, Kevin.
Simon Pagano, Marty, is going to have scuff reds for his final stint. Look for him to pit around lap 55. He said, I feel entirely different this year than I did last year. I'm so much more comfortable. We had a brake issue on Friday. We had some issues we had to sort. Last year, I would have started really worrying about where things are going, but I knew they'd get it figured out, and they did. He's been quick throughout the rest of the weekend. Running in 4th, right behind him is his longtime friend and rival, Will Power. Power is trying to make a comeback after missing the first race of the season because of illness, but he said, it's not really changing my mindset. You're always trying to win the race. You're always trying to go as fast as you can, and even after missing a race, he's right back in the middle of the pack as far as the points are concerned. And keep in mind, you've got the 2 double points races that can allow him to catch up big time, Marty.
Kevin Tony Kanaan making his 13th Long Beach start. That's more than anybody else in the entire field. He told me what he was most proud of today is the improvements Ganassi has made throughout the weekend. Friday was not good, Saturday was not good, but when they put on reds, the team got much better. In the race, they've been able to hang there in the 5th position. For Juan Pablo Montoya, in practice this morning, he said, my car was so good in traffic. I could pass when I wanted to, but I know we have to save fuel today. That's going to be a key. We'll see if Montoya can make his way further up through the field in this final stint. Katie?
Even though Takuma Sato won here back in 2013, he says that really doesn't make a difference because racing is like a science, and science is continuously evolving. So the key today is to be able to keep up with the track temperature and keep evolving with the rest of the field. Marty?
Katie, Joseph Newgarden told me if we come up through the field at some point today, don't be surprised. They've made a little bit of progress up in the 8th position right now and hoping to be better at the end of a run on older tires. He told me that was our key. He said we haven't hit it on new tires all weekend long. On these old tires, we've been pretty good. Katie?
This is the best qualifying effort for James Hinchcliffe so far this season, and even though they've had a rough start to this season, Hinch says he can still sleep at night because he realizes how much worse things could be. Remember, he missed most of last season due to that injury at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Then you go to 10th with Graham Rahal. His team won the pit stop competition here in Long Beach earlier today, and he says that will be the key for them to win this race today. Then you move back down to Sebastian Bourdais. Sebastian Bourdais has been fighting understeer all weekend. He says he cannot fully commit to those corners, which is leaving a lot on the table.
And guys, Charlie Kimball back in the 13th position, and he has had a fun time trying to get back up through the field and done a pretty good job. When he pits off sequence, he catches the back of the field at a second per lap. That's been interesting for Charlie to have to deal with all weekend. Again, they're going to be off sequence from everybody else. We expect the leaders in about 10 laps. Kimball will stay out and pit it out 15. Katie?
Connor Daly's engineer, Michael Cannon, says the team feels challenged by Connor. It's really energized the entire team. So Connor Daly needs to rise to the level of the rest of the field, and the team needs to rise to meet him to continue improving in his best qualifying effort so far this season. Behind him is Carlos Munoz. Frustrating weekend for Carlos Munoz. He says the entire team is really struggling to find speed, and that's the most frustrating part. Kevin?
Katie, Mikhail Aloshin is not a rookie, but this is a new car for him. Remember, he only raced the season finale at Fontana last year, so he's trying to learn the different characteristics, and he missed all the preseason testing. That's why it's so remarkable. He had such a good run and finished up near the front at St. Petersburg. Car has been okay this weekend, still trying to make some of it with some luck. Behind him is a rookie, Alexander Rossi, but a different kind of rookie with 5 Formula One starts. He's a native Californian, but he's racing in his home state for the first time since he was 16 years old. San Jose, part of the Champ Car weekend. Oh, by the way, he won the race that weekend from Northern California. Really looking forward to Sonoma.
Filippi qualified 12th. That's his best effort so far this season, and he said now that the team has proved that they have pace, they need to stop going off strategy and just try to keep up with the rest of the field. Kevin?
Marco Andretti is just simply trying to salvage something today. It's been rough sledding after they had the engine issue shutting on and off in the opening, and trying to stick to a 2-stop strategy. It's going to be tough. They're going to have to save some fuel a little bit in that United Fiber and Data Color car this weekend. Max Chilton, another Formula One veteran, runs in 19th behind him. We've seen some interesting lines from Max around the track. He's been running quick, he's been aggressive so far, and he is getting better and better with each and every time he's on the track. Now Ryan Hunter-Ray has fallen back to 20th. Just a few laps ago, he radioed in and said, I almost crashed, we've got to pit. So they've had to abort the traditional 2-stop strategy. They're now back on a 3-stop strategy, pitting just about 3 laps ago, so they cannot make it to the end. Ray Gosselin, his engineer and strategist, just told him this is going to be a shorter stint. We'll come in pretty soon.
Jack Hawksworth was fast in practice early this weekend, and then the team went the complete opposite direction on his qualifying setup, and he didn't qualify well. Jack said that AJ Foyt told them they needed to work back through the weekend to figure out what went wrong, and they still can't quite figure it out. Rick?
Great job, guys. 21 cars. We got through all of them. Helio Castroneves continuing to lead. There have been 3 caution-free races in Long Beach in 85, 87, and 89. We've gone through the field. Helio Castroneves about 7 laps away from having to come back to pit road. At such a prestigious track, look at the drivers that have won multiple times. Mario Andretti, 3 years. Sebastian Bourdais, 2005 through 2007. Our own Paul Tracy, 4-time winner at this track. And Al Unser Jr., 6 times he was able to make it to victory lane. Who will be there today? The last time Helio Castroneves won at this track, he did it leading every lap.
As we see Dixon take a look in the mirror, he's chased down Castroneves, and I got to admit I'm wrong, Townsend. I thought it was a bad move going on those scuffed tires at the beginning, but he went a lap further than everybody, made better fuel mileage, and went further as we see Graham come in. Katie?
Graham Rahal's team said it's more important to maintain pace than save fuel right now. So as you see them getting through that pit stop, nice and clean. Rick?
Yeah, quick stop for Graham Rahal. But they need to make up some ground, and it's going to have to be on pit road if we're not going to get a caution.
Amazing job by Rahal's right front tire change here. The wheel nut fell out of the wheel gun. Cool, calm, collected, just picked it up, put it on. They didn't lose any time. Sometimes when that happens, it all goes a little haywire. And you were just saying, Paul, you're right, Dixon went a lap further on the first stint. If he can do the same thing on the second stint, he'll have 2 laps of extra fuel in the bag and the benefit of sticker reds while everybody else will be on scuffed reds. Dixon will be a rocket ship at the end of this race.
As we look from the helicopter here, the beautiful Long Beach racetrack, Shoreline Drive, massive crowd. Everybody loves coming here to the ocean and right by the beach. As we pass by the Hyatt right here, the iconic hotel in the center of the track. Beautiful, beautiful racetrack.
Into turn number 1. And by, as you mentioned, beautiful and iconic, how about the fountain in 2 and 3? The Dolphins right in the center.
All I can think about is where's my 12-year-old son?
Who's here somewhere. And here comes Mikhail Aloshin. Kevin?
The Russian has worked his way up to 14th position. He's going to need a lot of help to get home the rest of the way. 30 laps is highly unlikely unless you get some caution. Clean stop, Sunoco fuel for Mikhail Aloshin. Marco Andretti should be coming down too in just a moment at 50 miles an hour. Same scenario for Marco, and they knew this was going to be the case. Michael told him to go ahead and turn up the wick and don't worry about saving fuel early. We need to catch up after the early issues, but they're going to need a caution stint or 2 to be able to make it home the rest of the way.
Townsend, he's going to need to turn up more than the wick. They've been really struggling around in the back, and just the whole Andretti team has really not had good cars so far this weekend. And Hunter Ray now down in 20th, and I mean, this guy's a guy, he's a regular front runner here, as we see the leader now on lap traffic, and that could have held him up, Townsend.
This is going to cause issues. You've got Castroneves and Dixon on pace to one of these guys looking good to win the race, and this lap traffic is going to cause issues. Marty?
Townsend, Joseph Newgarden in on the left side of your screen. You see the wing adjustment for Joseph, who's had a little bit of an issue with the handling of the car. Now they have to put the car back up to get the left-right rear tire back on for him, and that's going to cost him some time. Joseph asked, because they put on sticker or scuffed reds, he said, can I go hard from the beginning? They said, yes, that's why we're putting you on these scuffed reds at the end of the stint here. And that's also Bourdais went by as well, guys. A lot of positions lost here for Joseph Newgarden.
So Hawksworth last pitted on lap 30. Now I figure he can probably stretch it to about lap 55. So Castroneves, the Penske team, will know that, and they're going to have to just either make a move here or just try to hang on and not let Dixon advance as they make it to the final stop. Dixon's in early.
Dixon decides to come to pit road early. That's shocking after staying out on the track longer.
I'm going to tell you why he's doing that. He's got traffic in front of him. He's going to come out, and if he's in clean air and rips off a fast out lap, that's really going to put him ahead of Castroneves, because Castroneves is being held up. Marty?
And that's a theory. Once they got into that traffic, Mike Hall said, let's come to pit road now. Sticker red tires. As we predicted for Scott Dixon, you saw no adjustments on that 9 car as well. Now we're going to see where he cycles out. Mike Hall said, we'll get you a number to get you where you have to be to make it to the end of the race. This is going to be interesting, guys.
Well, Scott Dixon has proved, as we see Connor Daly leaving, Scott Dixon has proved he can go 28 laps here. Here he comes.
The lap times had dropped behind Hawksworth to a 10.6, and they were running 9.5. So they were running a second a lap slower. Now we see Dixon out with a clear road, so he's got to rip off a quick lap here.
And we're going to have to pay attention to when Helio comes in, how they blend back out as we...
How long until those cars up the head pit? Probably 2, 3. Helio seems to be dragging his feet a bit. It's just bringing everybody back to us here.
Coming up.
And now here comes Elio onto pit road.
This is going to be it, boys. And you saw Scott Dixon was on the push to pass, making every opportunity to gain time on these pit stops.
Marty.
You guys, Helio Castroneves was dragging his feet a little bit, as Mike Hull said, because they were worried about that fuel number, and they thought Dixon might try and stretch the fuel. It's going to be the scuffed red tires for Helio Castroneves. 7-3 on the stop. Nice quick stop. Now we'll see where it all cycles out.
Remember, Elio was just in front of Scott Dixon. Will he be able to stay in front after this stop? There went the 9 of Scott Dixon. How close is it going to be? It's that close. Dixon stays in front of Helio Castroneves.
Long gone. He's on hot tires now, clear road. He's going to get about a 3-second lap.
And look at Castroneves already on the button. Helio Castroneves knows it's now or never. I have to stay with Scott Dixon.
10 seconds left in the push to pass for Helio Castroneves.
But let's not
into 6.
Let's not forget there's several cars that still need to pit that are all in contention. We've got Pagano, Kanaan, and Montoya all about to pit for the second time. If they really crank off a great in and out lap, they could be contenders.
Pagano's last lap was an 8.6, so that's one of the fastest laps of the race so far. So if the track is clear for Pagano, he could cycle to the front, as we see Kanaan in the pits.
TK coming in, and they said the only problem was the fact that he was getting a little wheel spin off of the hairpin, but he said other than that, the car was actually pretty good. They're going to make no changes to the car, waiting on the fuel, taking a little bit longer than anticipated. Tony Kanaan leaving with scuffed red tires.
That's not going to get it done, a 10-second pit stop. Now, the benefit for these guys, they have more fuel than Dixon. And not close there as things cycle back out.
Dixon and Helio Castroneves go by. Here comes Tony Kanaan coming out.
Here's
Montoya. Also, will he get in front? No.
Yes,
he does. Just in front of Juan Pablo Montoya.
Montoya will be furiously trying to get in front of Sato. He cannot afford to lose distance here.
That's Will Power.
That's Will Power.
Sorry,
Power that he's in front of.
Montoya is now in second. He's 3.5 seconds behind Pagano. But Pagano is at a 108.6. Montoya at a 109.6. So Pagano is ripping off fast laps right now.
Kevin, here comes Simon Pagano.
His teammate Will Power, we saw a moment ago, pitted a few laps ago, a slower stop, 10 seconds. This could be a race-winning pit stop along with the in and out lap for Simon Pagano. He's been really turning it up here the last couple of laps. We'll see what the 22 team can do and see where he comes back out, Marty.
His teammate Juan Pablo Montoya comes to pit road. It's going to be scuffed red tires for Montoya, and 8.8 on the stop. Montoya stumbled a little bit leaving pit road. They told him, go hard. You have those scuffed tires on. Don't worry about them being cold. They'll come in right away.
Race leader, Scott Dixon.
This is close.
Well, for the lead. Actually,
he's in the lead.
Oh.
He's ahead. This is going to be tied here.
But did Pagano cut that yellow line? That looked close on the merge.
Dixon has got to get by before the next corner.
We'll take another peek at that as far as the blend line coming out, but look at Simon Pagano trying to stay in front of Scott Dixon.
He's got to get it done by the next corner or it's lights out.
Charlie Kimball still scored as the race leader, but he has to come to pit road. Let's take a look as he comes out onto the track. The right side tires are supposed to go on the outside of those double yellow line. It looked like he might have cleared it.
That was close. We watched the battle up front, and now Pagano has tire temperature. Paul, what's race control going to do? What does the rule book say?
Well, the rule book says you have to have 2 tires on the outside tires on the other side of that line. Clearly, he touched that line, so that's a tough call, but not a call I'd want to make, but the rules are the rules, so we'll have to see what race control does about that.
Let's see who's on the push to pass as they come down shoreline. This is a great opportunity for Dixon.
How about Dixon making the move to the inside?
Pagano blocks. He's making him go the long way. That's the hard way around.
Ooh, and he crabbed back out to the outside to force Dixon off to the side.
Dixon's got the knife between his teeth. Now he knows if he goes in 3 or 4 more laps, he's not going to have an opportunity.
And the other thing, Paul, is that Dixon has to be careful about burning fuel. Remember, he ducked into the pits early. He has to go 28 laps. If he races too hard, he might not make it. Rick, what are we hearing from race control?
Well, right now we're hearing race control is officially reviewing that exit of pit road. They're going to look at it and see if he did commit a violation by coming across the double yellow line with the right side tires. They're looking closer at it right now.
I mean, clearly the tires were on the line, so if you're going to call, if the rule is the rule, you have to call it. So we'll see how much teeth race control has.
And we were wondering what Simon Pagenaud would do with the race or the points lead. He has the points lead right now. Would he run conservative or go after it? This move right here looks like it's aggressive.
Well, let's see what happens. We'll see if we can pause the screen as Pagenaud's turning in. Let's pause right there. I mean, that is, not only is he on it, he is early on it, and all 4 tires are going to go over the yellow line. So according to the rule, that's going to have to be addressed. Another view here from the helicopter. Right there. And the other angle was a little bit better, but
imagine if that is what's going to determine Simon Pagenaud not being able to win this race.
That's the rules. I mean, everybody knows what the rules are. Back in the day, like I raced at times here, there was little pylon cones all the way down there. So if you ran over them, you'd get some damage to your front wing. So it's kind of a self-policing thing.
Marty.
You guys, how savvy are these drivers? Scott Dixon, coming down the front stretch, was watching our replay on the Jumbotron, and he said clearly he was across the line. They need to make that call.
You gotta love that.
Apparently your telestrating is catching the attention of even the driver.
Sorry, Simon.
So again, the move by Dixon on pit road got him in front of Helio Castroneves. Simon Pagenaud questionably out in front now. Pagenaud under review. And the IndyCar officials have been looking at the exit of pit road by Simon Pagenaud to see if there was a violation. And so we're still waiting on that as far as when the stewards give us that information.
And if you're Simon Pagenaud's team, you're not even going to mention that this is under review. There's no point in alerting Pagenaud. Just let him do his thing, and the chips are going to fall where they may.
Pagenaud has about a second lead over Scott Dixon as the laps continue to wind down, just 22 to go. Dixon chasing after Simon Pagenaud, but will he be able to hold that position? We're going to let you know when we come back. The Stanley Cup playoffs are on NBCSN. Coverage continues tonight at 7 Eastern as the Panthers take on the Islanders. And at 10:30, the Predators take on the Ducks. Yeah, the Ducks, local team right here in California area. The 2016 Stanley Cup playoffs. Don't miss a moment. From the gorgeous Long Beach, California, Grand Prix of Long Beach. 4 different drivers have been out front. And right now, there's a question mark if Simon Pagenaud should be out front.
Well, and that's, under review right now. It's taking IndyCar a long time to make this decision on what they're going to do. In Townsend, the biggest gripe of the drivers is really they want consistency in the rules. If you tell us this is the rule, enforce the rule. So we've yet to hear the decision, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, based on our replay, it appears to be very cut and dry that Pagenaud did have his right side tires not only on the yellow line, but there was still some yellow line left. I mean, he was all 4 clearly over.
And guys, listen to this. They're going to give him a warning.
Oh.
So the 22 of Simon Pagenaud has been given a warning.
Well,
so he is going to be able to hold on to that spot.
Well, next year
now Dixon is going to have to work his tail off to try to get by him.
Next year he'll have to be a whole lot more careful because there's no more pit stops for Simon Pagenaud.
That's one of the biggest complaints that the drivers have is if you tell us this is the rule, enforce the rule, and they don't want warnings for blocking, they don't want warnings for stuff. So that could have been the race-winning move, a move that could have been a violation. Could win him the race.
Well, why would Pagenaud do that? Because it's a time advantage, right? You're driving a shorter distance, and we can go back and remember how close that moment was. It was maybe a tenth of a second where Dixon was almost by him going into the fountain.
And Pagenaud now out front. We're going to take one more look at it. This is Simon Pagenaud on the 22 coming out of pit road. Dixon.
Pagenaud trying to shave all the time he can, and look at how close it is. And he has a warning. There's no question he drove over the line. There's no question that was not within the rules. And look at what that did in terms of side-by-side racing.
Here we go, though. Look at this.
Look at this. Here comes the 9. Scott Dixon trying to get aggressive.
He knows now there's no penalty, so he's got to go. I think he sat back and waited to see if there was going to be a penalty or not, save fuel. I'm sure that Mike Hall has told him no penalty, go. So it's time for Scott to go.
But I wonder how much fuel Scott Dixon's going to need to use to get by Pagenaud. He only has one push to pass left. Pagenaud has 3. Marty?
And guys, Mike Hull has indeed told Scott Dixon penalty only, or a warning only for him. He was not very happy with that, as you can imagine. They discussed the replay and that it was very clear. Mike Hull on your screen right there has told Scott Dixon, and they said they're going to work on the fuel number for him, but Dixon not wasting any time. They remind him once again, remember, Pagenaud's on older red tires, the scuffed red tires. That's what they went with. We have sticker red tires. So Scott Dixon working a little bit on his own here, not worried about the fuel. He wants the win.
And I'll tell you what, the fans in the internet chat rooms will be on fire tonight if Pagenaud is able to hold off for this win. So it's going to get interesting. Dixon pulls the tear off. He's only got 1 push to pass, and there's a lot of laps left to go. So he's got to use this wisely.
17 still to go. Pagenaud has 3 push to pass.
I wonder if he can use the Max Chilton angle to get by with a warning.
Right now it's Simon Pagenaud looking to grab his first ever Long Beach win. Can he hold on? It has been a caution-free race since the drop of the green flag, and now it's Simon Pagenaud trying to stay in front of Scott Dixon, Helio Castroneves, Juan Pablo Montoya, Tony Kanaan, the top 5. Takuma Sato running in that 6th spot. Will Power is 7th. James Hinchcliffe, 8th. Graham Rahal, Sebastian Bourdais rounding out the top 10.
And I know it's been caution-free, but with 14 laps to go, we've got a big disparity in push-to-pass account balances. We got Sato with 7 left. Tony Kanaan has 0. We show Montoya as 0. Dixon only 1 left. So as we get down to the finish, Paul, some guys are going to start using up the available push-to-pass and go for it.
Yeah, we don't know how accurate it is completely, because Sato with 7, he's really in a good position. He's gotten by Power. He's having a solid day for Honda. He's closed the gap to those 3 Chevys in front of him. So we are on board with Rahal. He's also having a good day. He's our biggest mover of the race.
The Firestone,
biggest mover. So another good day for Rahal. Good points day. But it's going to be some unhappy people in the pit lane if this race ends up the way it is. I'm sure Dixon is really upset about this. And he's got to make it happen now.
Well, you can be a part of Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes. Just go to racewithhonda.com to sign up if you want to ride with the number 15 here. And it would be an interesting ride. Be a great ride.
Look at Sato using up the button.
Sato by Tony Kanaan.
Look at him come back. That Chevy was coming back on that Honda, even on the push to pass.
Well, Tony used
his last one.
We think he's out of it, but it looked like he was going to have a shot up the inside. Sato wisely took the option away from Kanaan. Now Sato looks like he might be pulling away. He's going to go track down Montoya up there.
With the amount of push to passes he has left and 13 laps to go, it's a possibility he could land on the podium.
Well, he's won this race before, and seems like the last few years AJ Foyt Racing's had a great car here at Long Beach, lots of speed.
Can he gain 8 seconds? That's the gap between Simon Pagenaud and Takuma Sato, but the gap between Takuma Sato and Helio Castroneves a lot closer, about 3 seconds. He's right along with James Hinchcliffe. Hinch running 8, has Will Power just in front of him.
We really haven't. This is a good confidence builder for Hinchcliffe, because he's coming back from a huge injury, not a lot of seat time. So Townsend, this is just a confidence building day for him.
Well, and it's just great to see him at full strength and at full song here on Shoreline as he starts to suck up behind Power. Let's see if Hinchcliffe thinks about popping out and surprising him. Going to show his nose here and wisely back off, but he filled up Will Power's mirrors with that gold Aero car.
Will Power's not having a great day.
Look at this. What a run he has now.
I agree, Paul. We haven't really talked about Will at all.
He had, in practice and qualifying leading into the final 6, he had everybody covered.
This might be one of the reasons is the downforce selection for Will Power. And Marty, I understand you're with somebody at Chip Ganassi Racing.
Well, let's talk to Mike Hall and get his interpretation of the non-call on Simon Pagenaud. What's your thoughts on the non-call there for Simon?
Oh, you know, the thing is, they told us with the steward system they were going to have this year, there would be no warnings. So he was either in the right or the wrong. I think on the television, it clearly probably showed everybody, all the viewers, that he didn't stay in a straight line all the way to the exit of the pit lane. And what we were told in the driver's meeting, if anybody did that, that would be a penalty. They didn't say what the penalty was, but it shouldn't be leading the race.
Reminded Scott several times that he's on fresh reds and they took on scuffed reds. Will that play out and maybe be an advantage for you at the end? Could he still pass him?
Well, we're going to find out where the crossover is, aren't we?
There you go. Mike Hall obviously still upset. Things have calmed down a little bit in the 9 pit, but as you would imagine, Scott Dixon and Mike Hall still not very happy with that non-call on Simon Pagenaud.
And with just under 11 laps to go, we want to take a quick break, so we're here for the finish of the 42nd running, the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Out front, it's still Simon Pagenaud. And welcome back. We'll be here till the checkered flag flies. Simon Pagenaud has a little gap between he and Scott Dixon. Dixon running second after winning this race a year ago and winning the most recent race at Phoenix. Has been on a roll, but it was Simon Pagenaud who came off of pit road, was able to cut the double yellow line just by about a foot, but it did make all the difference because he was able to get out on the racetrack just in front of Scott Dixon, and he's been able to hold him off. Kevin.
So that call obviously helped Simon Pagenaud, but regardless, he expected to be strong. This is a track that he loves, and he's always had a lot of success. He's been knocking on the door here, second, fourth, fifth. He won here in the American Le Mans Series, so this track really does fit my style. It's a rhythmic track. You also have to be incredibly precise. He felt like he was on the brink and get to victory lane here today. As far as what he's being told by Kyle Moyer, as PT mentioned, he's never been talked to all about the review or anything else. Nothing has been said. Kyle Moyer has only told him, make sure your exits are strong, turn 8, turn 11, otherwise you're saving fuel everywhere else. But remember, he's got 3 laps in the bank as far as fuel ahead of Scott Dixon. He pitted on 54, Dixon on 51. The only other one among the front runners that pitted on lap 54 is Juan Pablo Montoya. So maybe if somebody else has some fuel problems, Montoya can sneak up there.
Well, the other advantage that Pagenaud has over Dixon is he has 3 push-to-passes left. Dixon only 1. So if Dixon does close the gap, try to use a push-to-pass, Pagenaud could try to hold him off.
Now, speaking about this penalty, let's clarify one thing. A lot of guys like to jump on Brian Barnhart. He does not make the penalty calls anymore. There's a 3-person panel now that makes those calls.
Hang on. I believe that the panel decides whether or not it was a violation, but I'm not sure if the panel decides what the penalty is.
We had our competition meeting, and I said, would you veto that call? If they said yes or no, and Brian said, I will not veto any call.
Okay. So
whatever the panel decided, he would go with.
And the rule is 7.10.1.1, and it's lane usage. That's the rule that they're going off of. The minimum penalty is a warning, and that is exactly what they gave him, a warning.
Yeah, but the range of the penalty should be dependent on the effect. So similar to, let's say, running over something of a piece of equipment on pit lane, if it doesn't affect anybody's safety or the outcome, they're probably going to give you a warning. Here, I guess the issue that we're all pointing out is that it had a huge effect on the win. But let's get out of the courtroom and back to the racetrack. We got Hinchcliffe chasing down Will Power.
With just 7 laps to go, Pagenaud in front of Dixon. Castroneves running 3rd, Montoya 4th, Kumasato is 5th, and James Hinchcliffe, as you mentioned, closing the gap on Will Power. That's for 7th.
One of the challenges for Hinchcliffe, I can tell, big lift on the back straightaway, Paul. He's trying to go 27 laps of green on this final stint, and I don't think any of the Hondas have done that so far this race. So he's faster, but he's got to be careful on fuel. 6 laps to go.
Well, the more he stays in Power's draft, that will help. So the more you back off, he'll lose ground to Power. But if he can stay in that draft and keep the pressure on, maybe Power can make a slight mistake. It's not been a good day for Power today.
One guy I still am excited to watch on these last few laps is Takuma Sato. 6 push-to-passes still in the bag. We know that Montoya is not transmitting the data for us, so we don't know what Montoya has. Castroneves with 3, Dixon with 1, Pagenaud with 3. Here's Sato.
Sato behind the 2, 1 Pablo Montoya.
He's got to get closer than that if he's going to use the push to pass. And the spot to do it is down the front straightaway, but he's been closing, but he's got to be closer than where he's at.
Now he could use 2 push to passes in 1 lap if he wants.
He could use 3.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, they go for 20 seconds. He has 6 of them remaining, and it takes a little over 60 seconds for a lap.
Now let's watch. He should be on the button right here.
He's close.
That's a great run off the hairpin.
He's on it, so he's going to make a move now. He's in the draft. He's fully in the draft now. Montoya will probably protect.
I think I saw green on Montoya's roll hoop, meaning he pushed the button.
Sato looking to get to the inside of Montoya. Not going to happen.
And there you see
call that a block.
No.
He moved after Sato moved.
I don't know if I'd call that a block.
Are we going to get back into the jury again?
Yes, because if that was a block, then you got to go back to our last race at Phoenix where Kanaan.
Take another look.
Sato
one.
went right, and you watch Montoya moved after he moved. Look.
That's going to be tough to definitively say there was a move. At our last race, Kanaan did that on Newgarden, and they didn't call it.
I used to call that the Scott Pruitt fade. That's what he used to do, just subtly fade on you.
If anybody faded on you like that, you would have absolutely drilled them.
Yeah. And guys, out of the jury, back to the racetrack for Juan Montoya. He has 2 push to passes left. Got that from the team. They are getting that data. They have had data problems down here all day long for a lot of the teams, but they do know he has 2 push to passes left.
James Hinchcliffe
on power. We understand that the incident between Montoya and Sato will be reviewed, as would any position to battle like that.
Push the pass, remaining 3
Somebody's
each.
coming out of the pits. Is that Marco Andretti? Oh, that's nice. Get out of the way. Let the leaders race. Good job.
Hinchcliffe trying to get by Power. Can't find the opening, the opportunity. Now as they go out of 5 and into 6 and 7.
It's not been the Will Power we're used to seeing on a street circuit. 7th position, hanging on to the back of his car, struggling for grip.
And now down the back stretch they'll go.
Quickly winding down the laps now. It'll be 3 to go for Pagenaud. Dixon's really got to make something happen. He's 0.7 of a second behind, so he's still within range, but only has 1 push to pass left, and he's got to get closer than that to Pagenaud if he's going to be able to take advantage of it.
They're the top 2. We have been caution-free with just 3 laps to go.
Now Takuma Sato with 5 still in the bag. He's going to start pressing Montoya, I'm sure, and make him use his last 2. Of course, they wouldn't know how many he has left as we see him come through the fountain.
Yeah, that was the gap between 2nd and 3rd. Pretty big gap there between Dixon and Castroneves. Almost 10 seconds separating those 2. Castroneves, after winning the pole, leading the first 47 laps. Front, it's Simon Pagenaud.
Now something to keep in mind is when you use that push to pass, you do burn more fuel, and Sato is working on a 27 lap stint to finish the race. Sato's first stint was only 25 laps, so
can he make it? That would be the other thing if he uses all the push to pass.
This will be a big day for Pagenaud. He came to Penske and has yet to been able to really put it all together. He's been fast on ovals. Last year, really kind of qualified well, but would fade in the races. And if he's able to pull this win off, it's a big confidence boost for him.
Huge, especially because he didn't have a win last year. He came to Penske as a proven race winner, just didn't get it done. Had a decent season, but as the points leader and to deliver for Roger Penske, Paul, nobody knows what that's like better than you.
And to win here in Long Beach, obviously for him, is his first win here, puts him in the elite group of drivers that have won here in the past.
And there is no action taken on the 2 and 14 as far as Juan Pablo Montoya. There was no block there.
So at this point, Sato just used another push to pass, so he has 4 left, coming to 1 lap to go. So if he has the fuel, he's going to have 200 extra horsepower.
He's got to get closer. But
split up into 50 horsepower segments.
And as you guys mentioned, his last win came 2 years ago, back in 2014 when he won at Houston. Pagano trying to get back to victory lane.
He's pretty close here,
There's
Paul.
the gap between Sato and Juan Pablo Montoya.
I'll tell you what, it'll be fireworks. This is his last chance, really.
And there you see Dixon using up what he has remaining on the push to pass.
The final lap. Simon Pagano in front. It was pit strategy and great pit work by his team.
Lap cars, this could be a problem as well. They're going to catch these guys before the end of the lap, so you would not want to catch these guys with 2 corners to go. They're going awfully slow.
And that's exactly what's going to happen here as they make the right turn. And down the back stretch they go. For the last time, down Seaside Way.
This is a problem. Oxworth is very off the pace right here.
Into turn 9 and 10. The final time through the hairpin. Will this come into play? Look at Dixon right on the back bumper with a 22. Right on the back wing. Can he make it happen? Simon Pagano trying to hold on. Pagano's going to win at Long Beach. What a run by Scott Dixon. Those slower cars.
Here comes Sato.
Yeah, Sato. Potentially on the push to pass to get by the 2. No, but very close.
Now let's watch
Montoya.
Hinchcliffe on power. Same thing, close, but not close enough. That got pretty exciting at the end.
Wow. How about that? We didn't think it was going to happen because of the numbers of push to pass that
tell you what,
Pagano had.
This is going to be some interesting interviews. Pagano is going to be oblivious because he doesn't really know from his team that he was a potential penalty, and Dixon is going to be livid.
How about that? The celebration. What's the feeling? I mean, Paul, you've done it 4 times.
It's fantastic. I mean, you can see. I mean, this is a long time coming for Pagano. He was winless last year. When you get the big opportunity to drive for Roger Penske and you have these huge sponsors, corporations, you're expected to win right away. So, great win. Closest finish in history at the Long Beach Grand Prix. Start to finish green.
Oh, Simon Pagano is going to be ecstatic. He's going to get out on this beautiful California day. The greens will be greener. The blues will be bluer. There's no better feeling in the world.
And he gets a plaque in victory lane.
This was close here. If I was Dixon, I would have just dove down the inside. What do you got to lose? I mean, other than not get to the finish line, but other than certainly very close. That lap traffic, I mean, if one more lap, that could have been a big problem for Pagano.
Absolutely. What a win by Simon Pagano, his 5th career win, and it comes at Long Beach. The closest finish right there. Simon Pagano will be thanking his team as well. Again, it was a great pit stop. They got him out just in front of Scott Dixon. As he celebrates with the race fans. This is the fastest race in Long Beach history. It's the first to average speed of over 100 miles per hour for the entire race.
The look on Dixon's face, he doesn't look very pleased at all. Montoya is leaving the scene quite quickly behind the truck over there.
And that's the 2nd straight year, by the way, that every car has been running at the finish of this race.
That's amazing.
No cautions and all 21 cars running at the finish. And Pagano has made it. We see Juan Pablo Montoya down there congratulating him. Marty.
Well, Scott Dixon out of the car, and obviously I want to get your take on the non-call on Simon Pagano coming out of pit road.
Well, I don't really want to comment because I haven't seen the replay, but I caught a replay actually on the big screen, and it looked like, you know, it's tough to see there, but I think he went all for a cross, and the rules clearly state you have to have 2 wheels on the other side of the line or you get a penalty. I just hope we're not recircling with our stewardship here and doing warnings. He got a warning, so there's meant to be no warnings left. I don't know what that's all about, but big shout out to the team. You know, Team Target did a hell of a job. You know, it was a bit of a battle there all day long with the Penskes, and I think that was our race, man. So it is what it is.
And just to be clear, there was a call. It was the minimum call, though. At that moment, did you think we still can get by him? We have fresher reds than he does.
It's tough. You know, we tried on the first one. I think we had abused the overtakes quite a bit, especially on in and outs. And what hurt the most actually is that I thought the pit sequence was over, and the team didn't tell me there was still more cars coming. So I'd actually sort of got into fuel save mode and you know, slowing the pace down. So had we not done on those 2 laps, we would have been clear anyway. But you know, rules are rules, and I just hate it when you get a change.
Scott Dixon obviously a little upset with the call there by IndyCar. Kevin Lee.
Simon Pagenaud is preparing to climb out of his Team Penske machine. His 5th victory in the Verizon IndyCar Series, but first for the historic Team Penske. 179th overall. Simon Pagenaud is a winner at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. And this one has been coming for Simon. He has been knocking on the door for the last several years. He has won here at a sports car before, but this one is in the big show, in the Verizon IndyCar Series. That's his engineer, Ben Bretzman, who called the strategy here today. Simon, how long have you been dreaming about this opportunity to win at this place?
Yeah, 2006 was my first American race right here, so a lot of memories. You know, the funniest win was in sports car when I won in the last lap, but this one, holding Dixon, man, that's a lot of work. So, man, I'm just so proud of the guys. As you saw, the pit sequence just won it. They're awesome. What a start of the season. I don't know what to say. The PPG car is actually good luck for me every time I'm driving this car, every time we have good results. So hats off to Ben, my engineer. Big gamble on, as you said, as you know, big gamble for the race paid off. That's, like I said last week, team sport.
Let's remind people of that big gamble. You told me beforehand, we tried out going really low downforce in practice, and it was a handle. You decided to go ahead and go that way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, with the package the way it is, it's so hard to pass. So the only way to pass is to afford running less downforce in the corners and be fast on the straight. So I had to take care of the tires a lot. It was difficult, but we managed to do it and be in position to pass people. So, woo, it's awesome, awesome. Thanks. And you know what? First win for Roger, so you guys can't tell me that I'm not winning anymore.
You got the lead on your last pit stop. Great in lap, great out lap. Did you know that the exit was reviewed because you went over the yellow line there? What do you know of what was expected? Did you know anything about it being reviewed?
There's an inch on the racetrack there, so I'm good.
What's your understanding of what the rule is? How many wheels do you have to have beside the yellow line?
The left side on the right side of the dots, which it is, so I'm good.
They gave you a warning, so that'll apply for next year. Doesn't matter for now.
I don't care.
Scott Dixon made a little run at you at the very end. Did you see him coming behind you? Did you get a little concerned on the last lap?
Yeah, I mean, when you have Scott Dixon behind, you always need to push it. So push it as hard as you can. He was really, really pushing. We were saving fuel still. And there was a lot of, that's the funniest thing I've seen, a lot of marble on the racetrack, on the race line, the hairpin, and I was really, really struggling to turn the car there. So trying not to lose any time in the last section to create a gap, and it worked out.
Seems like a winning strategy to keep the points lead now. Plus 14 in the championship.
It's a good start.
Simon Pagenaud, a winner here at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. That's his girlfriend Haley coming in to offer congratulations.
All smiles. It's been 10 years in the coming for Simon Pagenaud since he was here in 2006. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Hyatt Gold Passport, the official hotel sponsor of Graham Rahal and the number 15. The Stanley Cup playoffs are on NBCSN. Coverage continuing tonight at 7 Eastern as the Panthers take on the Islanders, and at 10:30 the Predators take on the local Ducks. 2016 Stanley Cup playoffs. Don't miss a moment. What a gorgeous setting and an incredible finish for Simon Pagenaud as he was able to hold on and get his first win at the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Katie.
And Rick, I am surrounded by quite a bit of success. Elio Castroneves, Roger Penske, Juan Montoya. Elio, we'll start with you. You finished third. How grueling is it to go green to checkered here at Long Beach?
Yeah, it was. We're just discussing. It wasn't. It was actually fine because as long as we keep the rhythm, and it was one rhythm. But Tripoli car was really good in the beginning. I mean, we're leading the most laps, and then or leading a lot of laps. But in the end, a little bit of the strategy there. We got traffic. We decided to come in. The guy came in at the same time, and that basically killed us. We ended up losing 2 spots at once. You know, it's in the end of the day. Congrats to Simon, first win for him and Team Penske. So I knew it's at least I'm glad that one of the Team Penske ended up getting this victory. So well done. Let's go for the next one.
And now we'll ask your boss about that. When the captain, you have all of your cars in the top 10. Simon Pagenaud making it to victory lane for the first time for you. How important is that?
Well, I think for Simon, it's a great day for him, and certainly, as we tell the guys, one car can only win. So, to me, to hold off Dixon like he did the last 25 laps shows how good he is, and it's great for his team, and certainly for us to get another win here. Now we're tied with Ganassi, 6-6. You know, that's kind of one of the things we try to do, stay up with him. But now we're even.
And Simon Pagenaud leading points, the guy that was leading points this time last year. Juan, what is your advice for Simon going forward now?
Oh, no, I want to beat him. No, he's done a great job. He's got, 2 seconds on a win. It's really good. The hard thing is we all keep finishing right there, you know. My Verizon check was really quick today. It was so hard to pass. We made a good call there in the second stop and gained a couple of places. I got to Elio, tried to pass him a couple of times, and I burned my tires trying to pass him, and then he nearly cost me more than what I would have gained because Sato nearly passed me. But it's fun, you know. It was fun. The race was... It was actually kind of a short race.
It was very fast. I think almost the fastest in history, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. It was funny because, like, most of the street courses are like 3 stops, and this one you can barely make it in 2, so you got to be stretching your fuel all day, and I don't know, it was okay.
All right, a very successful day for Team Penske.
Well, let's talk to Takuma Sato, who starts 8th today, winds up finishing 5th. And I want to talk to you about that battle with Juan Montoya, who we were just listening from a moment ago. You guys were really duking it out there for a few laps.
Yeah, I mean, the last few laps, obviously, you know, all the way we saved the fuel, and the matter of, you know, when you can use the push to pass, and until last end, you know, I mean, never give it up. So it was nearly side by side, you know, crossing his finish line. We needed a little bit more, but anyway, I think we had a good battle turn to the turn 1, you know, into the turn 1. Obviously, he's always strong, and what an amazing job with the AJ4 team, come back in strongly under difficult circumstances. I think we had a difficult practice session, and starting from 8th, keep it cool, save the fuel, and it was a good battle the whole way through.
And you were smart to save all those push to passes to the end as well. I want to know how physical this race was when it goes green like that, and it's even tougher on a guy like you when you start 8th and you're trying to make your way through the field.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's lots of shaking in hand. I mean, you can see my hand is got a pretty.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, that's ugly.
It's always a shaking. You know, the steering wheel is difficult, and nowadays obviously high downforce with a lot of grippy Firestone tires, reliable, which is nice. And we like to be fast, so no, I don't complaining about it. And this is only a few days and then keyed it up, but I like it. And team did a brilliant job, and obviously Long Beach fans really buzzing, and I like it. Obviously, 5th is not the best what we wanted, but you know, I think where we were today, I think it was a brilliant job from the team.
Rick, a blister is worth it when you wind up finishing in the top 5, and now that team for Takuma Sato, 6 in the championship standings. Impressive.
Absolutely, a great run for Takuma Sato and that team. How about this? Going for the parade lap, and oh, it's all hugs. It's all hugs. Maybe not all hugs, as Scott Dixon gets in the truck with them.
Welcome back to the 42nd Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach as the throng of fans file out. Spectacular day, record pace, no cautions. We did have some controversy though. Chip Ganassi joins us here on pit road. Roger Penske just mentioned a few minutes ago that I'm excited to get my 6th win because I've tied Chip, who has 6 here at Long Beach. But should your guy, Scott Dixon, have been in victory lane?
Well, it was obviously a close call, you know, and I think, you know, it's certainly a chance to look for some opportunity, how we can improve, you know, questionable calls like that. It was obviously a questionable call. You know, the video shows one thing. I don't know what the stewards use to make their decision, but I sort of support what they do. But I kind of like the NASCAR system where it's just black and white. There's a camera there. The camera makes the call electronically. So we'll see. Maybe it's an opportunity for us to improve.
Now, they made a call, so they deemed that something was a little bit amiss, but it's a warning, and there are no more pit stops. How do you feel about the warning situation in a race-winning circumstance?
You know, I think, Kevin, you know, you look at those situations over the long term, over a year period or something, and you know they got a new group of stewards up in the booth, and they're trying to do the best job they can, and I applaud what they're trying to do. It's not an easy job what they have to do up there, and I'm sure I'll have a discussion with them, and I'll probably learn something I didn't know.
Well, to the performance side of things, Tony Kanaan had another strong race, great start to a season. And your slow starter traditionally, Scott Dixon, is on a roll. How tough is he going to be to deal with this year?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Dixon, I think he's ahead in the points of where he was a year ago after 3 races, so that's good. And, you know, Kanaan's doing a good job. Charlie Kimball's up ahead of where he was a year ago, and Max Chilton's a newcomer to the team and doing a great job himself. So we're kind of happy at this point. We want to have some momentum, obviously, going into Indianapolis, and right now I think we have that. Let's carry that through Birmingham and take it into Indianapolis in May.
Thanks, Chip.
Thank you, Kevin.
Over to Katie Hargett.
Graham Rahal had worked his way up through the field after starting 17th, but Graham, then in those last 2 laps, you fell back. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just made some mistakes today, you know, overall, and put ourselves in a bit of a bind. I mean, we were trying to, our strategy, we really needed a yellow, but it's what we needed to do to try to make up some ground, and we did there for a while. And in fact, it kind of stung for me today because I had a great car. I just couldn't do anything. I mean, we need to, I think, as a series, we need to look at the way that we generate the downforce on these cars. We need to get rid of so much topside downforce, put the underwings back on. We all have the parts. It's a no-expense addition. It will allow everybody to follow closer, make the racing better. And the races need to be longer. That race flew by, and it shouldn't be borderline 2 stops. Make it 3, and therefore, you make it 3. You make the strategy calls a lot more fun. You get guys driving hard all the time. You're going to get, you know, more action for the fans, and it's just a frustrating day because honestly, I just cruised around today. I don't want to make it sound like, well, it was boring for me. So.
But the team was on the radio on you hard to save fuel in that last stint. How frustrating is it to have to hold yourself back when you know you're so fast?
It was tough because I was getting the number they were asking of me the whole race, and so then to hear all of a sudden I have to get 0.4, that's an impossible number. Literally, it's impossible. I could barely get that under yellow flag conditions. So I didn't really know what to do. I had to cruise around. I lost a ton of time, and but we coasted across the finish line. We had no fuel out of the hairpin, so. But we barely made it. I'm just proud of the Penn grade guys because they worked hard this weekend. I put them in a hole yesterday, and you know, once again the stops were great and just came up a bit short.
Bringing it home, 15th on fumes, Rick.
Yeah, Katie, and that's the nature of racing. You're going to have one person that will be happy because only one can win. And today it was Simon Pagenaud who got the win at the Grand Prix of Long Beach. The result of having the fastest Grand Prix of Long Beach in history is that we have more time to talk to the drivers after the fact. Let's go to Marty.
And that's a good thing, Rick. We're happy to talk to Will Power, who winds up finishing 7th today. You told me before the race we taken off all the downforce, trimmed out as we can be. You thought you would make progress. It just never happened. What was going on with the car?
Yeah, it's just very difficult when you got close. And yeah, we pitted early to jump some people early on there, and we did. We got Kanaan, but then in the second pit stop sequence, we had a bit of a fuel problem and had a long stop and just kind of came out where we came out and found it, you know, very difficult to pass.
You know, it's funny, Graham just said we need to look as a series at how we generate downforce and maybe create some better ways to pass. Do you agree with that?
Well, when you look at the original car, it was probably the best racing car they've ever had ever. Because all the downforce was from the floor and the wings, you know, weren't particularly aggressive. But now we have a lot of little winglets and all this stuff all over the car, which creates a lot of turbulence. And you know, Formula One's been through this whole process. But you know, I think at Indianapolis it'll be really good racing because it creates such a big draft. But on short ovals and street courses, it's just difficult to get close. It's fast and it's fun, but probably not so much for the fans.
I'm willing to bet you're excited to get to Barber. That's one of your favorite places where you've seen a lot of success.
Yeah, I am. I mean, Barber, Indy Road Course, the 500. I mean, they're all good tracks everywhere, really. But, you know, we've a lot of ground to make up, but it's a long season.
He's already made up a lot of ground. Was 23rd in the championship standings a few weeks ago. Now he is 8th. Katie?
An 8th place finish for James Hinchcliffe today is his best since nearly this time last year. It was at Barber last year. How important is this as a confidence boost for you in the 5 team?
It's great. You know, we've had a solid weekend right from Friday first practice. Car was great off the truck, and you know, had a decent qualifying. Not a bad race, not a great race, but definitely it helps momentum heading into Barber.
And it was a very short race. How frustrating is that knowing that you could move forward?
You know, it's tough. I think we need to take a good hard look at the length of these races and make sure that they're not borderline two stoppers. You know, I mean, half that race was under fuel saving. It's not fun for us, not fun for the fans. We need to make it a bit longer, make it so you have to stop 3 times so we can actually push and go racing. You know, it's frustrating there at the end. I think we had pace over Will and maybe over TK. We lost some spots in that first stop because I had to hold a half beat. Munoz was coming in right as I was going out, and that's how Taku got by. You know, he ends up with the top 5. So it's frustrating. I wish we had a little bit more, you know, variety with strategies and, you know, like we were saying, a little bit longer races and let us push. Let us go racing.
It seems like a lot of drivers singing the same tune down here, Rick.
Absolutely. But the one that's singing probably the best tune is the one that will be on the top of the podium, and that's Simon Pagenaud getting his first win in the Grand Prix of Long Beach, and to the victor go the spoils.
And
he's going to be enjoying this.
This championship shaping up now that this guy is a race winner with confidence at Penske.
Simon Pagenaud, point leader and race winner. So much for the fans to be a part of, and they get to see the Victory Lane celebration. Took place for the podium finishers. Simon Pagenaud, all smiles after his win. Pagenaud leading 28 laps, and of course the most important one, the last one. Let's go now to Kevin Lee.
Sebastian Bourdais is a 3-time winner here on the streets of Long Beach, and today tied for the most moves from 14th to 9th. So how challenging is it to get that done in a race without any cautions or restarts?
Well, I think we're pretty much the only ones who actually made moves on the racetrack, so you know it's pretty good, and you know, very proud of that CBU crew. But it's one of those races, you know, we had to generate actually our luck, and you know, there really wasn't much going on. And at the end of the day, you know, we made some moves and made them stick. So, you know, I'm very proud of what we did. It's just a shame that we started where we started, you know, being 14th. It's tough to do much better than what we did.
We talked a lot with Simon Pagenaud, the winner, about going with the low downforce setup to try to make up some moves. You did the same thing.
Yeah, we did. I mean, obviously, you know, when you plan on leading the race or being at the front and not being in too many turbulence, that's one thing. From where we were, you know, it was a tricky thing. Obviously, there was a payback, and the payback was tire degradation halfway through the stint. So since we were going 30 laps per stint, that was a long end of the second part of the stint was really long, especially at the end of the race there. But you know, anyways, we made it work and went on the move and salvaged what we could.
A good run today for the KVSH driver Sebastian Bourdais. Marty.
Let's talk to Joseph Newgarden, who winds up finishing 10th today. Some positives. He had the second fastest lap of the race, but that last pit stop just seemed to hurt a little bit. And then tough to pass out there, wasn't it?
It was a tough day. You know, I mean, I can't believe we went the whole thing green. You know, I was assuming there's going to be a yellow at some point. Long Beach, we always have a yellow. So it was a tough day. You know, we did have a fast car. I was telling you before the race, I really felt confident in our old tire speed, and I thought we had that today. We just couldn't really do anything with it. You know, the Fuzzy's car was fast. You know, I really think our finishing position probably could have been 6th, maybe 7th place, which would have been better. But a top 10 is still good. Good points for the guys. They worked their tails off all weekend. I mean, we had a fast car. It just wasn't enough. We needed to probably start up higher, and that would have been the difference this weekend. So we got to work on qualifying when we come back out.
Walk me through being behind the wheel and what it is like, because all the drivers are saying it was just so difficult to pass today. It's almost like you catch another car, and aerodynamically, you stop.
Yeah, I mean, the cars are impressive. You know, they go through the corners really fast. You know, it's all about mid-corner speed. And with that, it makes it tough to pass. You know, when you get behind another car and you're both full speed, no one's saving fuel, no one's struggling with tires, you just lose that grip. You know, you lose a lot of that imaginary grip that you get from the wings, and it's kind of difficult to get a run, kind of difficult to do anything with anyone. So, you know, there's going to be give and take. This has always been a notoriously hard track to pass at, so that's one element for people. It's always been tough here. You know, it would have been nice if it was a little easier to pass. I think we've definitely got to work with the formula to try and make it easier so that we can pass people. We've had that in the past. 4 years ago, we've had that a little easier time passing. But I don't think it's going to be like that all year. We're always going to go to places with IndyCar that have great races. I still think this was a fun race, entertaining to watch from a fuel-saving standpoint. You know, just watching IndyCars is cool. They're badass race cars, and I like driving them, I like watching them, but we do got to work to try and make them a little easier to pass.
Joseph Newgarden, 10th today. Katie?
And our 6th place finisher, Tony Kanaan, has already changed out of his driver's uniform. TK, what was the pace of this race like?
You know, it was a green flag race, so eventually it becomes really boring for the fans, I think. I believe that we need to rethink about maybe we need to extend a few laps, because with the amount of laps we had, everybody had to save fuel to make it in 2 stops, and I think that makes the race a little bit boring, you know. Such a great place to race. The crowd is unbelievable every year, so I think they deserve a little bit better. You know, a little bit of a fight in the beginning there with Scott and Elio, and then we had a little bit of a problem with the gearbox. We don't know exactly what happened. I was mis-shifting all the time, so we lost a few positions there because of it. But on and all, you know, top 6, it's not a bad day for us. But, you know, I think we're going to get it with the IndyCar and maybe extend the race a little bit, so it'll be a little bit less boring for the fans.
When you would get behind another car, what was the feeling like, and how would that change your car?
I mean, you lose a little bit of downforce. I know the drivers are all saying, you know, that's why we don't pass. But if you look at the grid, we had a bunch of different aero configurations, and that's what happens. You know, if you choose to have less swing, you're going to struggle like Will did. You know, he chose to be fast on the straightaway. I chose in the middle, so I was a little stuck. So that is some turbulence, but it's not. Do we had a better package before? Maybe. But I think if we starting extending the laps of the race already, it will be a completely different race.
All right, 6th place finish for Tony Kanaan. Rick?
Yeah, and the Ironman still looking for his first ever Long Beach win. He'll have to try again next season. Simon Pagenaud has been able to check it off his list, though, as far as places to win. One racetrack and one course that has some incredible viewing perspective. From the top of buildings to balconies to right on the front stretch. It is an incredible race. Let's recap what took place today. Out in front, it was Helio Castroneves, Scott Dixon at the beginning, and it got tight in turn 1.
Got tight, but no contact, amazingly, as everybody worked their way through and settled into a pace for our first green flag the whole race from a long time.
Then at lap 51, the congestion happened. Helio Castroneves was catching up to the lap traffic. Scott Dixon decided time to come in.
Came in early, and it was a great call. He had sticker red still in the bag. And then this.
He was able to take advantage of that traffic, get out just in front of Helio Castroneves, and so Scott Dixon took over the lead.
Once he got out in front, he streaked away from everybody and was able to maintain a lead. But Pagenaud went 2 laps further, but cut that yellow line on the exit, and that was the move of the race. It was a no call or call of just a warning. And Dixon didn't have anything from there.
The last lap, they caught up to some lap traffic, and it made it the closest finish for the win. And Simon Pagenaud, and a great finish there for Kumasato and Pablo Montoya. Take a look at the point standings through 3 races. Simon Pagenaud, second, and first gives him a 14-point advantage over Scott Dixon. On Pablo Montoya, Helio Castroneves, and Tony Kanaan are the top 5. A beautiful day here in Long Beach. Coming up next, Stanley Cup playoffs continue with the Florida Panthers and the New York Islanders in Eastern Conference action. Join us next Sunday as the Verizon IndyCar Series continues on NBCSN. The Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. It begins at 3 Eastern. Be sure to tune in early for the Indy Lights race. That's at 2 o'clock. For more information on the Verizon IndyCar Series, log on to NBCSports.com. Congratulations to Simon Pagenaud.